The first Uncharted game gave players this epic mix of Tomb Raider, Indiana Jones, and even a little bit of Gears of War. But over time, that game started to show its age. In my last video, I explained why Uncharted 1 is better than most people remember. But when many people say that game aged poorly, it's usually because something better was right around the corner. Because with the sequel, Naughty Dog didn't just make a second entry, they changed the entire landscape of the series. Everything was bigger, smoother, and more refined. The quality of life improvements were obvious, and at the same time, this was the game that pushed Uncharted to the forefront of the PS3. To this day, you can find countless people who rank this game in their top two of the entire series. And today, we're going to find out why. Welcome to episode 10 of the Naughty Dog Takeover. Today, we're heading to Shambhala in Uncharted 2, Among Thieves.
Okay, watch and learn.
Oh, I'm learning alright.
Ellie, stay up, come on! What? Is that it?
You asked for it.
Now, if you're a returning viewer, welcome back. And to all my new viewers, welcome. I'm the Retro Phantom, Digital Handshake. It's nice to meet you. Every week on this channel, I cover games that shaped our lives and our childhoods. Right now, we've officially reached the 10th video in the Naughty Dog Takeover, and we only have 3 videos left in the series. Then, later this year, I'll be covering The Last of Us Part 2 as well as Uncharted The Lost Legacy as an end of the year special. And after that, we still have The Batman Takeover, Spyro, and of course, Street Fighter, especially with the movie dropping this year. So if you end up learning something new and enjoying this video, you can support the channel by dropping a like and hyping the video up, because it really helps smaller channels like mine in the YouTube algorithm. And if you want to join me for the ride, hitting that subscribe button goes a long way and brings me closer to my goal of 15,000 subscribers by the end of this year. And if you're feeling generous, you can always buy me a cup of coffee. The link is in the description. With that said, let's dive into this. Now, if this is your first Naughty Dog video on the channel, I'm going to give you a quick recap of how we got here. But if you want the full story, feel free to check out the Naughty Dog Takeover playlist. We're now 9 episodes deep. If you're already caught up, please feel free to skip ahead. I'll give you a moment to do that now. Back in the 1990s, during the height of the console wars, Sony entered the gaming industry with the PlayStation, and like any console, they needed a mascot. That search led them to Naughty Dog. Founded by Andy Gavin and Jason Rubin, the studio created Crash Bandicoot, a franchise that helped define the PlayStation era and establish Sony as a true competitor in the gaming space. But as the PlayStation 2 approached, Naughty Dog moved on from Crash and introduced a new IP, Jak and Daxter. The first game was bright, colorful, and full of life, but as the gaming audience began to grow older, so did the tone of their games. With Jak 2, the series took a darker, more mature direction, influenced heavily by the rise of games like GTA 3. That shift proved successful, even if it came with the reputation for brutal difficulty. But behind the scenes, Naughty Dog was going through changes of its own. Jason Rubin would eventually leave the company, leaving Evan Wells to step into the leadership role, and during this transition, another key figure began to rise within the studio, Amy Hennig. After working on Jak X Combat Racing, she will go on to help shape the future of Naughty Dog in a major way, because as a PlayStation 3 era approached, Naughty Dog was once again ready to reinvent itself. Instead of continuing with Jak 4, the studio made a bold decision to create something entirely new. That project would become Uncharted. Taking inspiration from pulp adventures, cinematic storytelling, and games like Gears of War, Naughty Dog introduced Nathan Drake, a more grounded human hero compared to the larger-than-life characters of the past. And when Uncharted Drake's Fortune released in 2007, it marked the beginning of a new era for the studio. The game pushed the PlayStation 3 with its visuals, animation, and storytelling, laying the foundation for what Naughty Dog would become known for in the years ahead. But while Uncharted 1 was a strong start, it was just that, a start, because what came next didn't just improve the formula, it perfected it.
Dear PlayStation, I've been playing Uncharted 2 Among Thieves, but my girlfriend won't stop watching because she thinks it's a movie.
This is pretty common, Jason. I mean, just look at this game.
You know, you got Nathan Drake's epic gunfights.
Impossible escape scenes and a plotline filled with betrayal. Give her an hour or so, she'll know it's a video game.
It's been 2 days.
Ready, honey?
Yeah!
Yeah, I'm gonna file this under not an issue.
Uncharted 2 Among Thieves, rated T for teen.
Now, in my last few videos, I forgot to cover one very important detail, and it's something we need to address now because it's going to come up later in this series in a big way. We have to go back to the development of Jak 3. When I spoke about Amy Hennig and how important she was during that time, there was another key figure quietly working behind the scenes. Neil Druckmann. Now, today, many of you already know that name. And if you don't, here's some quick background, because in about 2 videos, his name is going to be everywhere. The year was 2003, and the 25-year-old Neil Druckmann attended the Game Developers Conference after his professor paid for him to go. While he was there, he watched a presentation from none other than Jason Rubin, co-founder of Naughty Dog. That moment would change everything. Druckmann will recall this moment. Then I went to the Game Developers Conference. Jason Rubin, who at the time was the president of Naughty Dog, spoke there. I approached him and bugged him and told him I wanted to break into games. He foolishly gave me his business card, and then I just started bugging him and sending him my portfolio at some point. He emailed back and said, "Hey, we're looking for an intern. Are you interested?" And I said, "Yeah, of course I'm interested." I was a big Naughty Dog fanboy. So in 2004, I started at Naughty Dog as a programming intern. And a couple months after that, they offered me a full-time position as a programmer. During the development of Jak 3 and Jak X, Druckmann was constantly pushing to move into the game design department. Evan Wells initially held him back since he was hired as a programmer and didn't yet have the experience, but eventually he gave him a chance. And Wells made sure if he wanted it, he had to prove it. So Druckmann started designing levels in his spare time, first on graph paper, then later using tools like Adobe Illustrator. After Jak X, Wells saw the growth, saw the potential, and finally gave him a shot. Druckmann would go on to work on Jak and Daxter: The Lost Frontier as one of the writers. Now, I know that game isn't exactly a fan favorite, but it was a major step in his evolution. Because at the same time, another game at Naughty Dog was struggling while that game was being developed. Uncharted Drake's Fortune. As I mentioned in the last video, development in that game hit some serious roadblocks, even forcing the team to rebuild parts from scratch. And one of the programmers helping push that game forward was Neil Druckmann. It was during this time that he began earning the respect of Amy Hennig. The two would eventually collaborate on the story of Drake's Fortune, proving that Druckmann was more than just a programmer. He was a storyteller. And that growth didn't go unnoticed. From Jak 3 to Uncharted, Druckmann went from intern to programmer to designer, and soon lead designer on the next Uncharted project. So remember that name because we're definitely going to be coming back to it. Now, with the success of the first Uncharted, it was only a matter of time before a sequel would become a reality. Naughty Dog understood that they had something special on their hands, and in December 2008, they made it official with a real-time teaser.
I suppose I should have quit while I was ahead. But what is it they say? Fortune favors the bold. Right. Lucky me.
And when I say this teaser sent waves through the gaming community, it did exactly that. Not only did it confirm the sequel, but it also gave us the official title, Uncharted 2 Among Thieves. And early reports were already hyping this game up in a major way. In a GameZine article, it was stated, Uncharted 2 Among Thieves is the game's title. Nathan Drake returns in a whole new adventure following the 13th century explorer Marco Polo, featuring improved animation graphics, a new free climbing mechanic, and stealth gameplay. PlayStation 3 gamers have a lot to look forward to. So, right from the jump, expectations were high. New mechanics, better visuals, a bigger adventure, and most importantly, a sequel that aimed to improve on everything the first game introduced. Now, behind the scenes, Naughty Dog assembled a powerful creative team to bring this vision to life. Leading the charge again was Amy Hennig as director. Alongside her was Neil Druckmann, who had now worked his way up to become a lead designer on the project, and Josh Shear, who played a key role in shaping the game's cinematic presentation. And together, this trio had one goal in mind. Don't just make a sequel, make something better in every single way. That meant improving the pacing, expanding the story, refining the gameplay systems, and even rethinking how the game would end, learning directly from the criticisms of Drake's fortune. But one of the biggest advantages they had this time around was experience. By now, Naughty Dog had a much better understanding of the PS3 hardware, and by utilizing the system's SPU, they were able to push the console even further than before. We're talking better animations, more detailed environments, smoother performance, and a noticeable leap in overall presentation. Everything just looked cleaner, sharper, and dare I say more alive. And according to Amy Hennig, this was a direct result of the team finally learning how to fully harness the power of the PS3.
Honestly say that this game, I mean, the last game I was really proud of and I thought was really good. This game blows that one out of the water. And instead of just sort of resting on our laurels and doing a typical sequel, we revamped the game engine completely, the graphics engine, the technology, as well as adding a ton more gameplay in terms of modes within the single player experience that the player can experience using stealth, things like that, expanded the melee combat. I mean, everything we could think of to expand. And of course, one of our major features, which we've been starting to show to people, is the fact that we've got more gameplay on like big moving set piece objects. We showed the big collapsing building at E3, and I mean, we got gameplay on moving vehicles like trains and convoys of trucks and all that kind of stuff. And it just makes the experience that much more cinematic. I've been personally focused completely on the single player experience, and it's, from what I can tell of all playtesting we've done, it's at least a third bigger, longer than the previous game. I mean, just cinematics alone, we've almost doubled the size with the non-interactive cutscenes in the game. We've got basically a feature film, a longer single player experience, multiplayer co-op. I mean, it's quite an incredible package. I really can say to people, and if there's any fears out there, alleviate them, that again, everything we did well in the first game we've done in spades in this one. And what was our core focus in the previous game was the fact that we're telling a character-driven story, and that we wanted the characters to feel authentic, especially Nate, and that we wanted to have that sort of action-adventure movie pacing that just drew the player through the experience, such that people often played in one sitting because they couldn't put the controller down. And we're providing that even more than we did last time. When we set about to write the story and then cast the game, it was really important, we knew, to have the characters around Nate really reflect different aspects of his character, because of course we wanted him to seem even more fully realized than he was in the first game, and really dig into who this guy is a little bit more, who he is when he's not on the adventure. You know, both the shady aspects of his character as well as the heroic aspects. And to do that, I mean, just like it's this, you know, sort of storytelling 101 or filmmaking 101 is, you know, you've got to have a good cast of characters around them that all sort of reflect these different facets of the character and challenge them in different ways. You know, obviously we want to tell a story that has a lot of movement in it. So there's sort of what we call sort of a die-hard aspect of the game, in the sense that once you're kind of thrust into the adventure, we want you to be on that ride in a way that doesn't feel like there's a lot of downtime for the characters. And you know, we get to that point about a third of the way through, where it's just sort of like you're just sort of going, and you're getting propelled through the adventure. But we also in this game wanted to feel like we had a little bit more globetrotting, you know, and that this game takes us everywhere from Turkey to Borneo to Nepal to way up in the Himalayas, and then all different environments within those spaces. There's way more variety than there was in the last game, because of course we limited ourselves to that island somewhat. This sort of jungly ruins on this island, which was cool, but it's kind of fun to be able to sweep across the continent like that. I think we've been sort of saying that maybe the balance is something like 60-40 gunplay and adventuring, and actually after our playtesting, I think it might actually tip a little bit the other way, which is nice, I think, for people, because they want to know that there is problem solving, exploration, and adventure, and on top of all the combat and stuff. And there are definitely a lot of modes in the game that take us through that sort of classic action adventure movie experience. Everything from fighting on the moving vehicles and but also exploring ancient temples and all that good stuff. I mean, the PlayStation 3 hardware is amazingly powerful. And it's something that we were able to tap into just a little bit, I think, on the last game. And people always laugh when you throw out numbers and you think, was this really measurable? It actually is, the performance. And I think we've said before, we're probably using about a third of the power of the PS3 this time. And this time we've maxed it out. Last time was about 30%. This time we've maxed it out. And it's absolutely true, because what we did first thing was take a lot of the processes that we were doing on the main processor and shift them onto the SPUs and figure out how to get it firing on all cylinders, essentially. And that's a really apt analogy. So a lot of our animations, our special effects, the audio, all this stuff is getting done through the SPUs so that the main processor can really focus on getting all that richness in the backgrounds. I think you can see that it feels almost like a hardware generation jump between Uncharted 1 and Uncharted 2, which I think is one of the most surprising things for people, is that the graphic quality and the detail and the density of things going on in the backgrounds and the detail of the characters and all that seems like it's such a leap. And it's only because we were able to really now, take everything we could out of the PS3, and as far as the capacity, we've absolutely filled up the Blu-ray disc to capacity. We constantly having to figure out how we're going to get everything on there. And so I think it shows. I think this game really shows off just what an amazing piece of hardware this is. And I think people have wondered, is it hard to program for all that? It's like, it takes a little bit of work to figure out how you can take advantage of it. Once you've taken advantage of the SPUs, it's just mind-blowing how much you can push through that thing. The response so far to the game has been phenomenal, and it's really gratifying.
Now, Uncharted 2 will also mark a major first for the series: multiplayer. For the first time, Naughty Dog was giving players a chance to take Uncharted experience online and build hype around it. They released a beta for players who purchased early copies of Infamous. And I like how this comes full circle. Back in the day, you had Crash Bandicoot games that included demos for Spyro. Now, years later, you have an Infamous game helping promote Uncharted 2. It's that same PlayStation ecosystem, just evolved. Now, the purpose of this beta was simple: get feedback, test the systems, and most importantly, check the temperature of the players. And gameplay wise, the multiplayer still carried DNA from the first game. The combat had the same cover-based feel, which again was heavily inspired by Gears of War, so for many players it felt familiar, but now it was competitive. And it didn't just help Uncharted 2, it also boosted Infamous, two PlayStation titles feeding into each other. Now, on the development side, this game came together pretty quickly. We're talking about 16 months of full development with an additional 6 months of pre-production. And during that pre-production phase, the team focused heavily on one key area: how players engage with enemies. Because this time it wasn't just about running in guns blazing. They wanted options, stealth, control. And this is where we start to see Naughty Dog planting the seeds for what would later become The Last of Us. During this phase, they began improving enemy AI to support more dynamic action stealth approaches. And according to Richard Lamarchand, we also started work early in pre-production and improvements in AI that let players choose to engage with our combat setups in an action stealth way. We gave our enemies an investigative behavior that they use when they hear or see something unusual, and also a search behavior they would use if they had seen Drake but didn't currently know where he was. These techniques paid off right through the whole player experience, so it's really good that we got started with them early in pre-production. So now enemies weren't just reacting, they were thinking. and that added a whole new layer to the gameplay. And eventually, all of this will lead to one of the biggest moments leading up to the release, E3 2009, where Uncharted 2 quickly became one of the most anticipated games at the entire event, with Naughty Dog showcasing a live demo that had people locked in.
Thanks, Jack. Naughty Dog has had a 15-year tradition of pushing the PlayStation hardware to its limits, and we feel that Uncharted 2 sets the new gold standard in limit pushing, and it is easily our most ambitious project to date. Last month, we finally got to show you our brand new competitive and cooperative multiplayer modes that we've been working on for the past 2 years. And starting tonight, at midnight, you can join us in the Uncharted 2 multiplayer beta. But we promised we'd be back to show you more of our single-player campaign. So today, you'll see what is not only one of the best technical showcases on any platform, but an active cinematic experience like no other game out there. So I'd rather show you than tell you, so let's cut to the chase. Here is Uncharted 2 Among Thieves.
Now, heading into E3, Uncharted 2 was already on a high note, and after the live demo, it only went higher. IGN spoke on this moment, saying, "It's hard to watch the Uncharted 2 demo and not get pumped up for the game. I mean, the action of the original was fun, but it looks flat out fierce in this game. Nate gets going with the spot-on climbing we all know and love, but then his handhold slips and he has to adjust. A helicopter starts spraying bullets and a building falls down. That'll get the blood pumping."
First of all, can you tell us a little bit about what you're showing off here at E3 from Uncharted 2?
Sure. We're showing off Uncharted 2 Among Thieves. It's Naughty Dog's next big hit on the PlayStation 3 coming fall 2009. For the past few weeks, we've been talking about our online mode. We have cooperative where you could play with 3 people online through large sections of the single-player game. It's a whole new story, whole new AI management system. We also have our competitive mode, which is 5 versus 5, heroes versus villains. The beta's going on right now. We have thousands of people playing online. It's awesome. Just go check it out. But here at E3 right now, we want to focus on our single-player campaign. And we want to show, we showed a demo at the press conference, really wowed the crowd. And we're saying, even though we're doing these online modes, Uncharted 2 single-player campaign is much more ambitious, much bigger, much more story-driven than the first game.
Has it been a challenge to sort of bring all these parts together compared to the first game?
Absolutely. I mean, we're trying to raise the bar of what just an action adventure in any medium can be, right? So we're taking, we took what worked in the first game, which is a very character-driven story. We're combining our platforming elements with our gunplay, with our puzzles, with just the kind of pacing that people told us. So once you picked up the controller, you just weren't able to put it down. And we just loved hearing that stuff. And we said, okay, how do we raise the bar on Uncharted 2? And now we're just bringing these big cinematic set pieces into the game. We have a brand new graphics engine, so you're seeing these wide open shots of the city. You're seeing a lot more characters on screen, a lot more particles, and we have this whole mantra of giving the players more options as they're playing the game. So with that, we're introducing the idea of action stealth. It's not force stealth like a lot of games. It's just another card in your arsenal. When you approach a combat area, you see the enemies walking around, they're talking, and you're like, wait, if I could take that guy out and snap his neck, steal his grenades, and then throw it over there to those guys and really take them out. And also with the idea of giving players more options, we said, okay, we have these traversal mechanics. We have a jump button, unlike a lot of other shooters. You could grab on edges. You could use a lot of verticality as combat. So that really opened up our level design to give players those options. And we also gave the enemies the same abilities. So if you climb up a building, you scamper up, you have a sniper rifle, you got the vantage point, eventually the enemies are going to be able to get there as well.
Has there been like a lot of feed from like designing the multiplayer and designing the single player and sort of cross-feeding between those two?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we hired brand new designers to handle our cooperative and competitive modes, and they've been looking at our combat in minute detail, right? So they've retuned all our weapons, they've retuned the cameras for our aiming system. Just our combat, everything just feels a lot tighter. And we just fed that right into the single-player game, and now the single-player game just plays a lot better. So again, we didn't want to repeat ourselves in Uncharted 1, and even though we're showing our new trailer, we're saying Elena and Sullivan are back, we really wanted to show a new side of Drake. So we kind of went backwards and said, okay, we have this kind of classic pulpy action-adventure hero, but what does that mean in the real world? And the more we started researching and thinking about it, we're like, he's probably a criminal. When he's not doing these adventures, this guy's life probably falls apart pretty quickly as far as like socially. And even though he finished Uncharted 1 with the girl, he's got all this treasure. We come in 2 years later, he's already spent almost all his money. He's alone. Sully and Elena aren't around. But here comes his friends like, hey, I got this job. We're going to rob this museum. And even though he's reluctant, he takes it on. He needs the money. And we get to see that Drake is surrounded by all these criminals that don't have the same moral compass he does, which what sets him apart. But he's a fallible hero.
And that's also for the subtitle of the game.
Absolutely. I mean, Among Thieves says, this is the world Drake inhabits. The people he surrounds himself with, it's hard to trust because they're all looking out for number one.
And when will we be looking at the game in stores?
Fall 2009, coming out this year.
Thank you very much for your time.
Now, on the technical side, this is where Naughty Dog really started flexing. With the first Uncharted, they estimated they were only using about 30% of the PlayStation 3's power, but with Uncharted 2, they wanted everything. By pushing the cell processors SPUs to their limits, the team created more realistic environments, smoother animations, and a much more dynamic world. To put it into perspective, Uncharted 1 had around 18 in-game cinematic animations. Uncharted 2, over 560. That's a massive jump. The game also introduced Naughty Dog Engine 2.0, a revamped version of the original engine. This allowed for real-time environmental changes, better textures, and more fluid character movement, all working alongside Havoc physics to make everything feel more grounded. And by this point, Naughty Dog was pushing the PlayStation 3 to its absolute limits, using nearly 100% of the cell processor and filling up an entire 25 gig Blu-ray disc. But what's interesting is, even then, it wasn't perfect. Evan Wells later explained that hitting 100% usage wasn't about perfect optimization, but about keeping the system constantly busy, making sure no part of the hardware was standing idle. Everything flowed together in one continuous experience, and features like screen space, ambient occlusion were handled directly by the SPUs, showing just how far Naughty Dog had come in understanding the hardware. So when you compare this to the development of Uncharted 1, it's night and day. The first game had to be rebuilt at one point. This one, it was focused, refined, confident, and on October 13th, 2009, Uncharted 2 Among Thieves was released to the world.
It's time to tip the odds back in our favor. I know where the stone is.
This is not a negotiation!
Gonna get us all killed!
Uncharted 2 Among Thieves. Rated T for Teen.
Here's a quick spoiler alert as I'm about to tell the story behind Uncharted 2, along with light spoilers from Drake's Fortune. Now, if you're not a fan of spoilers, please advance this video to the gameplay overview section as seen on the timeline below. Let's dive into this. The game opens up and doesn't waste any time. We see a derailed train hanging off the edge of a cliff. Inside, our protagonist, Nathan Drake, slowly regains consciousness, bloodied and barely holding on. Right away, you can feel the weight of the situation. This isn't a normal opening. This is survival. As the breeze begins to fall around him, Nate starts to realize just how bad things really are. And then it hits him. The train isn't just wrecked, it's hanging off a cliff. Now holding on for dear life, Nate begins to climb. Using everything he has left, he pulls himself upward, piece by piece, fighting against gravity, against the cold, against death itself. It's a desperate climb, but somehow he makes it. He reaches the top and pulls himself over the edge and collapses. Alive, but just barely. And just like that, the game cuts away. We're taken months earlier before everything went wrong. A moment of calm before the storm, a reunion and the beginning of an opportunity that would set all of this in motion.
Buy me a drink, sailor.
Harry Flynn? Hey! What the hell are you doing here?
I'm looking for you, mate.
Uh-oh. Should I be flattered or worried?
Maybe a bit of both.
Come here. I've got a job for us.
Really?
The client is willing to part with a huge sum of cash if we acquire a certain object for him.
All right, I'm listening.
Now, you're not gonna like this.
Oh, no. No, you're out of your mind.
Yeah, you just hear me out for a second.
Flynn, we both know two people who were killed trying to lift something out of this place.
And one who made it out.
Yeah, barely.
I can't do this without you, Drake. You're the only one who's cracked it, and you know better than anyone it's a two-person job.
No. 3, actually.
Right. And speak of the devil, here she comes now.
What?
Chloe Fraser.
Nate. Drake. Nathan. Drake.
Hello, Harry.
Chloe here's one of the best drivers in the business. She'll take good care of us.
I bet.
Right, look. I've got it all figured out. We go in through the sewer.
I'm loving it so far.
That puts us in the courtyard. From there, we scale up the wall, run across the rooftops, and just drop down into the exhibit hall. Bob's your uncle. And what is worth all this trouble, I hear you ask?
I didn't, but go ahead. But that's it. An oil lamp.
Yeah.
It's worthless. I don't get it.
Neither do we. That's why we tracked you down.
Well, it sounds like you're working for a nutcase. Some collector who's got too much time and money on his hands. And by the way, this is not worth any of it.
But there's more. How's your 13th century Latin, mate?
Where'd you get this?
Borrowed it from the files of the nutcase.
In Trebizond, we were set upon by thieves. Father, Maffeo, and I were robbed of our greatest treasures. This was written by Marco Polo.
Yes, that much we were able to work out.
Unfortunately, the rest of it's nonsense.
Hey, hold on. So that it should not fall into the wrong hands, I concealed my great sorrow in the unlikeliest place. The light of the great Khan shelters the fate of the 13.
See what I mean? It's just gibberish.
He's talking about the lost fleet.
Yeah.
I know, someone want to fill me in?
Marco Polo leaves China with 600 passengers and 14 ships, loaded down with treasure from Kublai Khan. And he lands in Persia a year and a half later, with only 1 ship left and only 18 passengers. Now, he recorded every detail of his journey, but he never told what happened to all those ships and the passengers.
So somewhere out there are 13 ships loaded with the Emperor's treasure waiting to be found.
Yeah, and that is what your client is after. Hey, look at this lamp. It's covered in Mongolian script. It must have been a gift from Kublai Khan.
The light of the great Khan shelters the fate of the 13.
Marco Polo hid something inside this lamp. Something that pinpoints the site of the lost fleet.
So, we're dicking this guy over, right?
Damn straight.
Absolutely. You in then?
What the hell? I mean, what could possibly go wrong?
After the flashback, we're brought back to the present. Nate is barely holding on, limping through the wreckage of the derailed train, still bleeding, still trying to survive. He squeezes through tight spaces, slowly making his way forward, grabbing a weapon along the way, just in case he runs into anyone or anything. And just as he starts to push forward, an explosion. Nate is thrown back, and once again, everything goes black. And while he's out, we're pulled back into another flashback. This time we get a deeper look at Chloe and Nate, and it's clear this isn't just a partnership, it's personal. The two reconnect, and there's an immediate chemistry between them. They hint at a past relationship, and Nate wastes no time in questioning her current situation with Flynn. Chloe plays it off, saying it's mostly professional, but you can tell there's more going on beneath the surface. As the moment becomes more intimate, the real plan comes to focus. The job was simple, split the treasure 3 ways, but their real plan? Cut Flynn out, take the treasure and disappear together. Before things escalate, Chloe makes one thing clear. Flynn can't know. not yet. Not until the job is done. Nate understands the risk, knowing Flynn wouldn't take that portrayal lightly. But Chloe reassures him, Flynn will be fine. And just like that, the moment takes over and the two give into it. We're thrown back into the present once again. Nate wakes up, still injured, still pushing forward. As he climbs through the frozen wreckage, he eventually comes across something important, the Furba dagger. Half buried in the snow, he reaches for it, holds on to it, and just like that, we're taken 4 months into the past, to Istanbul, where everything truly begins, with a museum heist involving Flynn, Chloe, and Nate.
You sure you're up for this? Feel a lot better if I had a gun. We won't need them. A little insurance, that's all.
Flynn, they're just museum guards. And we have their patrols all mapped out. Relax.
Relax. Relax. Have you ever been in a Turkish prison, mate? If we get caught, they will lock us up and throw away the sodding key. You do realize that, don't you?
Better than you do.
Well, you may fancy that kind of thing, but I don't. Can't afford to make any mistakes.
Yeah, and we won't.
We're here.
This way.
So what do we do if they switch the patrols?
Figure it out as we go.
We cannot fumble our way through this.
I don't fumble, I improvise.
Oh, is that what you call it?
Yeah, I'm adaptable.
Adaptable?
You cocky bastard. There. What did I tell you? That passage there is going to take us right under the museum.
You called it all right.
You need to have a little more faith in me, chum.
Okay, this one here is me.
All right, remember, that tower is our only way into the exhibit. But we can't even get close with those floodlights on.
We've gone over this.
Just make sure you cut the power by the time we reach the second courtyard.
The lights will be out. I'll have the van waiting at the rendezvous point. Just make sure you get your asses out of there in time.
Fair enough.
All right, enough chat. Let's do this.
Chloe. See you on the other side.
Looking forward to it.
Nate and Flynn began making their way through the sewers, following a path that would eventually lead them into the museum. After climbing a series of pipes and hedges and even disabling part of a security system, they managed to reach the inner courtyards, giving them their first clear view of their target, the tower holding the oil lamp. But there's a catch. The only way to reach it is from the roof, and to get there, they'll have to cross the next courtyard through a heavily guarded gate. The two press forward, quietly taking out guards and scaling structures along the way. As they get deeper into the mission, Flynn decides to even the odds, handing Nate a tranquilizer gun to make things a little easier. With Chloe assisting from the outside, she eventually shuts down the power, allowing Nate and Flynn to enter the tower undetected. Once inside, they make their way to the Marco Polo exhibit, where Nate finally finds the lamp he's been searching for. Using Flynn's key, they unlock the case without triggering any alarms. But once Nate gets his hand on it and breaks it open, things don't go as expected. Inside, he finds what looks like nothing more than a blank piece of parchment. At first, it seems like a dead end, until Nate notices chunks of resin inside the lamp. Taking a closer look, he realizes it's the light of the Great Khan, a substance that can burn and reveal hidden messages. Using Flynn's lighter, Nate ignites the resin and holds the parchment over the flame. Slowly, the hidden writing begins to appear. What he reads changes everything. Marco Polo's fleet was struck by a tsunami, leaving his crew shipwrecked somewhere off the coast of Borneo. But even more shocking, Polo had discovered the lost city of Shambhala and obtained the Shintamani stone. Now the mission is clear. If Polo's fleet went down, that treasure might still be out there. But before Nate can fully process it, Flynn makes his move. In a sudden betrayal, Flynn cuts the rope, leaving Nate stranded. He pulls a gun on him, but instead of shooting, he triggers the alarms by shattering nearby display cases. And just to make things worse, Flynn reveals he knew about Polo's fleet the entire time. Nate was never a partner. He was a tool. As guards began closing in, Flynn escapes, leaving Nate to deal with the consequences. With no other choice, Nate runs, fighting his way through the museum and back into the sewers. He manages to make it to the streets, but his luck finally runs out. He's surrounded, arrested at gunpoint. We then jump 3 months ahead. It's finally the day Nate gets released from prison, and he quickly finds out who's responsible for getting him out and putting him right back on the path to Shambhala.
You overlooked one little detail, didn't you, partner? What? Face it, genius, you've been played. Oh, really? Hey! Jackass, you're ruining the show here.
Ah, what a shame.
Sully!
I really can't leave you alone for a minute.
Oh, man, am I glad to see you.
How you doing, kid?
I'm doing just great.
So, had to grease a few palms. Did go through the rest of your money, and a good chunk of my own, but hey. Jesus, you stink.
Yeah, not half as bad as that cigar. Hey, how'd you find me?
Well, a friend of yours asked for my help.
Hello, Nate.
Oh, no. No.
Now, wait a second.
Sully, kick her out and shut the door. We're safer in here.
Just wait a goddamn minute. Hear her out.
Thank you, Victor.
Hey, no offense, Sully, but you're not exactly the best judge of character, especially when it comes to women.
Fair enough. All the same.
Dear God.
Oh, no, it's not that bad. Look, I have my own bucket. Last cell I was in, 8 of us had to share.
Listen, Nate.
You know something? I really appreciate you dropping by, but if you and Flynn hadn't screwed me over in the first place,
wait a
I wouldn't have
minute.
been rotting in this shithole for the last
Listen,
3
Nate.
months. So excuse me if I'm not just, leaping into your arms.
I had nothing to do with it.
Right.
I told you. He's not going to listen to me.
Screw this. Nate, they found the ships.
In Borneo.
Yes.
And the Chintamani stone?
How do you know about that?
Do you really think Flynn could have figured that out on his own?
All right, good point. No, they haven't found it yet.
What do you mean, they?
Flynn and his client, Lazarovich.
You know, the nutcase. They've been working together all along.
All right, then. If they haven't found the stone, that means there's still time. You're gonna get us into that dig site. We are gonna snatch that treasure right out from under them.
They'll never see it coming.
Yeah, well, payback's a bitch. Look, they called it the wish-fulfilling jewel. It's a sacred object.
What, like a Buddhist holy grail?
Exactly.
Thanks.
Sully, listen to this. In the kingdom of Shambhala lies the most precious thing to be found in all the world. A perfect raw sapphire of the deepest blue, larger around than the reach of a man's arms.
Ooh, that's gotta be worth millions.
Hundreds of millions. And you say there's more of this?
Loads more. Lazarovich paid top dollar for Marco Polo's journals. He's been after the Chintamani stone for years.
Well, if he's been counting on Flynn to find it for him, it's no wonder he hasn't had any luck.
If I can get a look at Lazarovich's files, I can find that stone.
Hang on a minute, cowboy. That's easier said than done. The files are in his tent, and his tent is in the middle of the camp. It's like an armed compound. There are soldiers everywhere.
Well, that's why it has to be an inside job. From someone they know and trust.
Oh. Okay, I see where this is going.
Just need a diversion. You give me 5 minutes in that tent, that's all it'll take.
Really? 5 minutes? Well, that's great. I won't even have to get my top off.
Chloe, I was thinking more like an explosion.
Or that. Can be arranged.
Are you in?
Oh, hell yes. I was in before you were.
We then cut to Borneo, where Nate and Sully are deep in the jungle searching for Lazarovich's camp. Thankfully, Chloe left them with detonators, giving them the perfect opportunity to create a diversion. As they move through the dense jungle, the two plant explosive charges along the way, setting the stage before finally arriving at the camp. From a distance, they scout the area and spot Chloe, but more importantly, they see Lazarevich, and right away you can tell this man is dangerous. He's arguing with Flynn over his lack of progress, clearly losing patience. And just when things couldn't get more intense, one of these soldiers exposes another for stealing artifacts. Lazarevich doesn't hesitate. He executes the man on the spot with a knife. And just like that, the tone is set. This is not someone you want to cross. Seeing an opportunity to make things worse for him, Sully gives Nate the signal. Nate detonates the charges they planted earlier, and explosions rip through the camp, throwing everything into chaos. Lazarevich, Flynn, Chloe, and a group of soldiers rush off to investigate the destruction. With the camp now thinned out, Nate makes his move. He quietly takes out the remaining guards and slips into Lazarevich's cabin. Inside, he begins searching through the documents, uncovering more than just basic intel. What he finds points to something much bigger: Lazarevich's true motives for finding Shambhala.
Man, this Lazarevich guy isn't screwing around, Sully. You should see all this stuff. He's got files on every expedition to find Shambhala, all the way back to the 1600s.
What about Marco Polo's journals?
Here they are.
Just hurry it up. You haven't got much time.
Yeah. The worthy pilgrim is granted a golden passport to conquer obstacles on his journey to Shambhala. Huh.
Is that supposed to mean something?
Beats me. Hold on. Here we go. It was with great sorrow that I left my fellow travelers to their fate. A fate decreed by the dreadful cargo we bore from Shambhala.
You must have thought that tsunami was some kind of divine retribution.
Wait a minute. Damn. Sully, I don't think the Chintamani stone is here.
What?
Listen to this. I would have sooner endured the wrath of Kublai Khan himself than remove the Chintamani stone from that sacred shrine. Marco Polo never had the stone.
Then what dreadful cargo is he talking about?
I don't know.
Well, if the stone's not here, what the hell is Lazarevich looking for?
Shambhala.
Here in Borneo? He's a little wide of the mark, don't you think?
He must be trying to pick up Marco Polo's trail. Back to Shambhala.
Why?
Because the stone is still there. Chloe, can you talk?
Hold on. Yeah, I'm here.
In all this digging they've done, have they found any bodies, any remains at all?
No, now that you mention it, nothing. Why?
Over 600 people were shipwrecked here, yet there's no bodies. Don't you find that a little odd?
So where did they all go?
Where would you go if a tsunami hit?
To higher ground.
Bingo. We head to that mountain. What do you bet we find Marco's pals? Chloe, can you meet up with us?
Already on my way.
Great.
Uh-oh. Nate, you gotta get out of there.
You're gonna have to give me a minute, Sully.
You don't have a minute.
Unfortunately, things don't stay quiet for long. Some of Lazarevich's soldiers return to the camp and quickly discover the bodies of guards Nate took out. And just like that, everything turns to chaos. Nate is forced into a full-on firefight, battling through waves of enemies across the camp. The situation escalates fast, eventually leading to the destruction of the camp's watchtower as Nate fights his way through. It's loud, messy, and a complete contrast to the stealth approach from earlier. But once the dust settles, Nate and Sully regroup and push forward, heading toward a set of ancient ruins Nate has spotted on top of a nearby hill. Not long after, Chloe catches up with them. The three of them enter the ruins together, and almost immediately something feels off. As they move deeper inside, they come across the remains of Marco Polo's crew, and one detail stands out. Their teeth are black. Now, this is where things start to get strange. Nate finds more of that same blue resin from earlier and lights it, revealing bloodstains across the floor that lead towards a collapsed doorway. Nate and Sully clear the path, opening up a second chamber hidden deeper within the ruins. At the end of it, they find skeletal remains holding two key items: a map, a golden dagger, and the furba. The same dagger we saw at the very beginning of the game. And now things start to connect. Nate explains that the furba is a ritual object from Tibet used to destroy spiritual obstacles, and in Marco Polo's journal it was referred to as a golden passport, meaning this isn't just a weapon, it's a key. The map they recover points to something called the Valley of Temples, which in present day lines up with the city of Nepal. At this point, they have everything they need, or so they think, because just as they're about to leave the ruins, they're stopped. Chloe pulls a gun on them.
God damn it.
Come on.
Harry! In here! It's Drake!
What the hell are...
Get your hands up.
You sure know how to pick 'em.
Shut up, Sully.
Should have known it was you. And you, Victor goddamn Sullivan. You still dragging this tired old sack of shit around?
Easy, Nate.
That's pretty ballsy for a guy who spent the last 3 months behind bars.
Better than pissing away 3 months in the jungle without a clue.
Found the ships though, didn't I?
You couldn't find your own ass with both hands.
And a map.
They came from down there. Whoa. Harry, look at this.
Speaking of maps, between India and Tibet, one temple will reveal a
Pathway to Shambhala. Jesus, Flynn, while we're young.
Oh, no. Don't be such a bad sport. Take them to Lazarevich. You're gonna wish you'd stayed in prison, mate.
Move.
Come on, keep moving.
Ah, shit.
Are you all right?
Yeah, well, it'll make it look more believable. Now I'm gonna try and buy you some time.
No, Chloe, you have to come with us.
No. Just meet me in Nepal. Now run.
Let's go.
I like her.
Yeah, I bet you do.
Due to the gunshots, Nate and Sully are quickly discovered and chased down by Lazarevich's soldiers. After a brief escape, the two find themselves cornered on a narrow cliffside ledge above a rushing river. With no way out, Nate tells Sully they have to jump. Sully, clearly not thrilled, pushes back, reminding Nate that he's getting too old for this kind of madness. But before they can make the leap, Sully makes one thing clear. After this job, he's done. No more crazy adventures. He's ready to relax. But with Flynn and his soldiers closing in, they don't have a choice. They jump. And much to Flynn's frustration, they survive. We then cut to Nepal, where Nate is now driving through the city in a Jeep, trying to catch up. He contacts Chloe over the radio, noting that Lazarevich's head start was no joke. Chloe explains that the city is already on the brink of civil war, and Lazarevich is using that chaos as cover to search for the temple without interference. She tells Nate to meet her at the old market, and just as the call ends, things immediately go left. An armored vehicle appears out of nowhere and begins chasing him. The chase forces Nate into a narrow alley, where his Jeep is eventually wrecked, leaving him no choice but to continue on foot. As he regains his bearings, he checks his map and begins making his way through the city, taking out soldiers along the way and narrowly avoiding detection from a helicopter scanning the area. When Nate finally reaches the old market, he's immediately thrown into another firefight, taking down waves of enemies. Reinforcements arrive in a truck, equipped with a mounted machine gun, but before things get worse, Chloe steps up and blows it up with an RPG. Reunited once again, the two share a brief moment, exchanging some playful banter as Chloe notices the Furba dagger on Nate, but the mood quickly shifts back to business. Nate points out a symbol on the dagger that matches the markings on a nearby building, realizing that the temple they're searching for will carry the same emblem. The problem, there are hundreds of buildings, so they'll need a vantage point. Chloe points out to the tallest structure in the city, a nearby hotel, and just like that, the next move is set. The two fight their way through Nepal, cutting through buildings and battling soldiers until they finally reach the hotel. After making their way inside, they jump into an elevator, but seconds into the ride, the power is cut, bringing it to a sudden stop. With no time to react, Chloe shoves Nate out before the door slams shut, trapping her inside. Now alone, Nate realizes he has to restore power to free her. He navigates through the destroyed hotel, climbing, fighting, and pushing his way to the top floor where the circuit breaker is located. After restoring power, Chloe is able to ride the elevator up and the two reunite once again. From there, they make their way to the rooftop. After a final climb, they reach their vantage point. Nate pulls out his binoculars and quickly locates the temple they've been searching for. But there's a problem. It's already occupied by Lazarevich. Moments later, they intercept a radio transmission. Orders have gone out to find and eliminate Drake, and right on cue, a helicopter begins sweeping the city. What follows is chaos. Nate and Chloe are forced into a desperate escape, jumping across rooftops, running through buildings, and fighting off waves of enemies as the helicopter relentlessly hunts them down. Eventually, they hit a dead end, and the helicopter opens fire, collapsing the building beneath them. Barely escaping, the two crash through a window into a nearby structure as the building behind them crumbles. But it's not over yet. Making their way across more rooftops, they come across resistance walkways, giving them a path forward. However, as Nate drops down to a lower level, the helicopter returns for one final attack. This time, Nate fights back. Using a grenade launcher, he unloads on the helicopter, finally bringing it down and sending it crashing into the distance. With the immediate threat gone, the two continue forward and reach a zip line connecting to another building. Chloe makes it across safely, but when Nate follows, the line snaps, sending him crashing into the wall and down on the ground below. And just like that, we are introduced to a familiar face, last year's model.
Whoa, hey, don't shoot.
Hey! Nate? What the hell are you doing here? Jeff, don't!
Wait, you know this guy?
Yeah. This is Drake.
Oh. Sorry.
So, what's your angle on all this misery? You gonna plunder a few temples, loot the museum?
It's nice to see you two. Suppose you're here for some noble crusade, right?
Actually, we're trailing a fugitive war criminal. Zoran Lazarevich, have you heard of him?
Isn't that NATO's job?
Well, they think that he's dead. Killed in some bombing raid.
Oh, and you're here to prove otherwise.
You know what? This guy's a real monster, Nate. We're talking torture, mutilation, mass executions. See, now he's plotting something new. But why out here? Why tear apart the city, you know? It just doesn't make any sense. Oh.
What?
No. Tell me you don't have anything to do with this.
That's ridiculous.
There you are, Nate. I think I lost them.
Oh, whoa. It's all right, Chloe. They're journalists.
Oh. Well, we need to keep moving if we want to stay one step ahead of Lazarevich, so...
Oh, man, Nate.
Hey, wait. Now, don't jump to conclusions, Elena.
I'm sorry. Am I sensing some history here?
Oh, Elena Fisher. Last year's model.
That's cute.
Ah.
Yeah. No. Glad you find this so funny.
Well, it's just I never figured you for the white bread picket fence type.
She's a lot tougher than she looks, thank you.
Oh.
Oh, what?
She broke your heart.
Oh, please.
She did,
Hey, you know what?
she?
Maybe I broke hers.
Oh, yes, Casanova. We need to get moving.
Wait. They're coming with us.
Can't be serious.
Yeah, I am. I mean, I can't just ditch them in the middle of this mess.
They're only going to slow us down, and if we get
Chloe.
caught, if Lazarevich catches you and me together...
I'm not leaving them behind.
You don't always have to play the bloody hero, you know? Nate! Just dance with the one who brought you, all right?
Yeah, I get it. But they're still coming with us.
Well, we don't need saving, Nate.
Thank you.
You might want to rethink that.
Shit. Run!
After fighting through multiple groups of enemies and crossing a river, Nate, Chloe, Elena, and Jeff finally reach the temple, the same one marked by the symbol of the Shintamani stone. Now that they are here, Nate explains everything, but Elena and Jeff aren't exactly on board. Jeff even questions the entire situation, calling it crazy that Nate is competing with a psychopathic war criminal over what sounds like a mythological gemstone. Nate quickly clarifies it's not just some legend, and more importantly, the stone isn't even in the temple, it's in Shambhala. That only confuses Elena even more, but before they can really process it, a helicopter approaches, forcing them to move. Everyone rushes inside the temple. Elena tries to reason with Nate, pointing out that Lazarevich doesn't need money, but there's no time to argue. Nate and Chloe push forward, while Elena and Jeff stay behind at the entrance. Inside, the two come across a massive statue, one holding a representation of the Shintamani stone, along with several other objects in his arms. Nate quickly recognizes the setup and refers back to his journal, realizing the statue is part of a puzzle. By adjusting the objects and positioning the arms correctly, the stone splits open, revealing a triangular slot. The Furba, the key. Once Nate inserts it, the mechanism activates, draining a nearby pool and revealing a hidden passage beneath the temple. As they descend, they notice a carving of a tree along the wall, hinting at a deeper connection to the Shintamani stone. But before they can fully piece it together, they fall into a trap, landing beneath a deadly spike ceiling that begins to descend towards them. Thinking fast, Nate destroys the gears controlling the mechanism, stopping it just in time. Pushing forward, they enter a massive hidden chamber dominated by a giant replica of the Furba dagger. Here, they discover a new puzzle involving mirrors that redirect beams of light. Nate climbs around the structure, removing obstacles and aligning the beams, while Chloe assists from below. Eventually, they manage to activate the mechanism, blowing the massive Furba, though part of it breaks in the process. As it descends, it pierces into the statue below, opening its mouth and revealing a ladder leading to another hidden room. Inside, they find a circular stone platform and a strange device. When activated, the room transforms. Pillars rise from the ground, forming a map of a mountain range. A beam of light shines down, pinpointing a specific location. Nate immediately recognizes it, the Himalayas. Cross-referencing with a photo from his journal, he marks the exact location, the entrance to Shambhala. They found it. For a brief moment, everything slows down. The tension fades, the two share a quiet victory, and even leaning in for a kiss, until echoes come from above, Lazarevich's men. And in that moment, Nate realizes something. If they made it this far, they must have gone through Elena and Jeff. Without hesitation, Nate rushes back through the temple, taking out soldiers along the way. When he finally reaches the entrance, the situation is exactly what he feared. Elena and Jeff are under heavy attack, pinned down by enemy forces and snipers. Nate and Chloe step in, clearing out the remaining enemies and finally reaching them. But it's not over. Jeff has been shot, badly. Nate tries to keep him moving, insisting he'll be fine, even as Jeff struggles to stand. Chloe, however, sees the reality of the situation. She tells Nate the truth. Jeff isn't going to make it. But Nate refuses to accept that. He pushes forward anyway, carrying Jeff and telling Chloe to open the door so they can escape. Reluctantly, she agrees. As Nate carries Jeff through the temple, there's a brief moment where it feels like they might actually make it. But that moment doesn't last, because things are about to get a lot worse.
Shit! It's all right, we can make that.
He can't.
Oh, no, you don't.
We don't have a choice.
I can't.
Nate? Okay, you tried, but it's over. He can't go any further.
We can't just leave him here to die.
He is as good as dead already, and so are we if we don't go now.
Then go.
Yeah, nobody's stopping you.
Chloe.
I was trying to save your skin, you idiot.
Chloe? What is this?
Up the stairs!
Sorry.
Drop the guns. Seriously.
Get her out of here. She's hurt.
Take her to the train.
Unbelievable.
You just can't help yourself, can you?
I guess that makes us even. Not quite.
So, this little man is Drake. Did you carry him all the way from the temple? Shame. No! Now, tell me what you found in the temple.
The answer that you're looking for. Okay? I know where the stone is, but you're not gonna find it without me. So just let her go, and I will lead you right to it.
My shadow. You are the reporter who has been biting at my heels. You better pray that he is not bluffing. Search him.
Come on. That is brilliant, mate. Here.
It appears you have nothing to bargain with, Mr. Drake. Return to the staging ground. Prepare to move out. You, come with me. You. Take care of them.
No problem.
How can you work for that monster?
Beats working against him, love. So that's it, huh? Just gonna mow us down in cold blood? Looks that way, doesn't it? Get up. I said get up!
Run!
Stop there!
Nate and Elena narrowly escape, making their way towards the rail yard. To get a better view of the situation, they climb up a nearby water tower overlooking the entire area. From the top, Nate pulls out his binoculars, and what he sees confirms everything. Chloe being forced onto a train by Flynn. Moments later, he spots Lazarevich and his lieutenant boarding the same train. And just like that, the urgency hits. They're running out of time. Nate quickly comes up with a plan. He'll infiltrate the rail yard alone and get on that train, while Elena circles around to secure a getaway vehicle and provide backup once he gets Chloe out. With no time to argue, the two split up. Using a zip line, Nate drops into the rail yard, landing near a warehouse. Inside, he finds a stationary rail car and realizes he can use it to reach the train. After pulling a lever, the rail car shoots down the slope, crashes through the warehouse doors, and flips over into the middle of the yard. And just like that, every soldier in the area knows he's there. Nate is immediately forced into a firefight, using the overturned rail car as cover as enemies close in from all sides. The situation gets intense fast, but just in time, Elena pulls up in a Jeep, giving Nate the support he needs to push forward. Even with all that, the chaos causes Nate to miss the train's departure, but he's not done yet. He jumps into the Jeep with Elena, and the two give chase. Elena questions the plan, knowing how dangerous this is, but Nate doesn't hesitate. This is the only way to get Chloe back. As they get close enough to the tracks, Elena lines up perfectly, allowing Nate to leap from the Jeep onto the moving train. He barely catches himself hanging onto the ledge. Before pulling himself up, Nate takes one last look at Elena, and then he's gone. From there, Nate fights his way through the train, taking out guards, pushing through car after car, and even dealing with the helicopter assault as everything escalates. And eventually, we reach the moment that started it all.
This is mine, jerkweed. Saved my ass again. You all right?
Get off the train, Nate.
What are you talking about? You have any idea what I've been through?
I never asked for any of your bloody heroics.
Chloe, come on, we don't have time for this.
You're right. So get off the train while you still can.
And leave you with them.
You made your choice.
What did you expect me to do?
I expected you to have my back.
I had your back!
How could you possibly with the other two on yours?
Good luck with Flynn. Deserve each other. You know, I can't believe...
No. You just don't know when to quit, do you? What? No witty remark? Nothing clever to say?
I don't. No!
Oh, no, you don't!
Stop. Just let him go.
Put him out of his misery!
Here goes nothing.
We're then brought back to the very beginning of the game, reliving that opening moment with Nate climbing the derailed train, but this time things play out a little bit different. After reaching the top of the cliff, the game skips past the earlier flashback and the tutorial, cutting straight to the moment where Nate finds the Furba again. But instead of stopping there, the scene continues. Nate suddenly notices movement in the distance. 2 trucks full of soldiers arriving at the crash site, all searching for the same thing, the Furba. With no other option, Nate is forced back into action, taking out the soldiers and escaping the wreckage. But even after surviving that, his situation doesn't get any better. Exhausted, injured, and alone, he stumbles through the snow, barely able to keep going before finally collapsing with no clear way out. And just when it feels like it's over, a figure appears, barely visible through the snowstorm, and then everything fades. Sometime later, Nate wakes up in a bed. A young child is watching over him. Curious, but before anything can be said, an older man calls out to her in a language Nate doesn't understand, causing her to leave. Still disoriented, Nate tries to ask where he is, but the man only speaks Tibetan. Despite the language barrier, he offers Nate something to drink and helps him to his feet, signaling for him to follow. Unable to communicate but understanding the intent, Nate goes with him. As they walk around the village, Nate tries speaking to others, but no one understands him. Surrounded by unfamiliar faces and towering mountains, he begins to piece together where he might be, but nothing is certain. Eventually, the man leads him to someone familiar, and just like that, Nate finally starts getting the answers.
Just when I thought I had nothing left to lose.
Nate! Oh, thank God you're all right. I'm sorry,
It's all right. Elena, tell me you have some idea of what's going on. I mean, how long have I been here?
Hey, only a few days. I followed the tracks to the wreckage. What the hell happened?
You were right about Chloe. Turns out she wasn't exactly looking to be rescued.
Wait, did she do that?
No, I have Flynn to thank for this.
Yeah, got to soon. Come on, there's somebody who's anxious to meet you.
So, our mysterious guest awakes.
Nate, this is Carl Schaefer.
How are you feeling?
Good. Thanks.
Good. Please, sit. It appears you and I have much in common, Mr. Drake.
Is that so?
Yes. 70 years ago, I came here just like you, carried into the village near death, the last survivor of my company. I was hired to lead an expedition into Tibet to find the entrance to Shambhala. What they really wanted was the Chintamani stone. So, my friend, where did you find this?
Borneo. Why?
This is the key to Shambhala.
It's the one object your opponent desperately needs, even if he does not know it yet.
Oh, I think he knows. Look, I'm very grateful for everything you've done for me. I really am, but I'm through with all this.
So, they have beaten you, huh? Your quest is over?
Yeah, that's right.
What if it's only beginning?
Where did you find this guy?
Trust me, young man, your ego will mend. You're just lucky to be alive.
Yeah, you know, people are always telling me how lucky I am. But the truth is, everything I touch turns to shit.
Nate.
No, Elena, I'm done. Now, come on, I'm through playing the hero.
Your adversary will not give up so easily. He will not stop until he possesses the thing he desires.
Oh, yeah? Well, more power to him.
Power is precisely the problem. Some of the most fearsome rulers through history have possessed only a fragment of the Chintamani stone. Men like Tamburlaine, Genghis Khan. If a mere sliver could bestow such power, what would a man become if he possessed the stone itself?
This is crazy.
It's got to be what he's after, Nate.
Then Lazarevich really is a nutjob. He's chasing a myth.
And what if he's not?
Helena, come on.
Well, I mean, what if it's true? We've seen what he's capable of.
I understand your doubt. You require proof. Something you can see with your own eyes. Tenzin, Tinsanantara Tingonre. Find the remains of my expedition, and you will have your proof. Tenzin will guide you.
Sure. Nyenyamde sure. 가르쳐서.
I hope I live to regret this.
Just come back in one piece.
Don't suppose you speak any English, do you, pal? Well, this looks inviting. What's it say?
Do you talk anything to?
Why do I ask?
Do you? Jason?
I'm not so good with charades, pal.
오빠, 좀 매겨.
Wait. Tenzin! Why do you need that?
As Nate and Tenzin make their way deeper through the caves, they come across a small pack of wolves. Even with the danger present, they continue forward, determined to find answers. Not long after, they discover a body, and from a drawing of the Shintamani stone, Nate realizes it belonged to one of Schaefer's men. But things take a darker turn. They hear a faint whimper echo through the cave, and when they investigate, they find the entire wolf pack brutally slaughtered. Something is out here with them, and they're not alone. Unbeknownst to Nate, they're being watched. Tenzin begins to sense it too, convinced that something unnatural is lurking in the shadows. And then, it strikes. In the next cavern, Tenzin is suddenly attacked by a mysterious creature. Nate rushes back just in time, grabbing a pistol from a fallen explorer and opening fire. But the creature barely reacts to the bullets. It's fast, aggressive, and something far beyond anything they've ever faced before. Still, Nate manages to distract it long enough for Tenzin to recover. As the creature focuses on Nate, Tenzin gets behind it and drives a blade into its back. Even after taking what should be a fatal hit, the creature doesn't go down. It escapes into the darkness. And just like that, it's gone. With no other choice, the two continue forward until they finally reach the entrance to the ice temple. Inside, they're forced to split up, working together through a series of levers and pressure switches to progress. It's a constant back and forth, each one helping the other move forward. Eventually, they manage to raise a bridge granting access to the temple's inner chamber, but once inside, they realize they're trapped. Their way is blocked, and deeper within the chamber, they find the remains of the expedition. As Nate examines one of the bodies, he finds a small case marked with a Shintamani stone symbol. Inside are pieces of resin, the same kind he's seen before. But something else stands out. A gunshot wound, straight through the forehead. Looking around, Nate realizes they were all executed. Tenzin then shows him a book depicting the Tree of Life. As Nate flips through it, he recognizes the markings and pieces together everything. This was a Nazi expedition, and Schaefer, he killed his own men, the only way to stop them from reaching the stone. Before they can process it any further, distant growls echo through the chamber. The creatures are back. More of them. Nate quickly activates a mechanism, triggering a platform to descend, but the creatures begin attacking, hurling rocks and closing in fast. Nate climbs on first while Tenzin tries to follow, but one of the creatures tries to block his path. With no time to think, Nate tells him to jump, and then shoots the lever from a distance. The platform begins to move, but they're not safe yet. One of the creatures lunges on to Nate, sending both of them hanging dangerously off the edge. Struggling to hold on, Nate fires multiple shots directly into his head. Finally, the creature loses grip and falls to the structure below. Barely surviving, Nate and Tenzin push forward to make their way out of the temple. But as they step outside, Nate sees it, the village, and something is very, very wrong. The danger has only gotten worse.
You okay?
Oh.
Oh no. Tenzin!
Versace. Bema.
Thank God.
Oh, Nate.
What happened?
It's Lazarevich. They found us.
Bema kawa.
I don't know. I don't know. Schaefer's got her.
Kare.
Mol Schaefer Nyam Dudu.
Schaefer.
They went the other way.
All right.
Nate, this is our fault. We did this.
Just stay here. We keep them safe. Come on.
After fighting their way through the burning village, Nate and Tenzin make it back to Tenzin's home. But when they get inside, something's wrong. Pema and Schaefer are both gone. From the balcony, Tenzin grabs Nate's binoculars and scans the village. And there it is. He spies Schaefer with Pema nearby, being held deeper within the chaos. Nate takes a look for himself and confirms it, but he also notices something else. A tank. And just as quickly as they see it, it sees them. The tank immediately opens fire, forcing Nate and Tenzin to dive out of the way as their position is blasted apart. Tenzin's home is destroyed in seconds, and with no time to react, the two are forced to retreat as the village turns into a war zone. Villagers try to fight back, but it's hopeless. The tank is unstoppable. Bullets do nothing. Resistance is crushed, and the village is torn apart piece by piece. Nate and Tenzin push forward anyway, navigating through the destruction while taking out Lazarevich's soldiers along the way. Eventually, they reach the edge of the village and find exactly what they needed, an RPG. With no other option, Nate grabs one and takes his shot. After a well-placed blast, the tank finally goes down, bringing an end to the immediate destruction. With the threat gone, Tenzin is reunited with his daughter, Bema. And in that moment, things finally slow down, just for a second, but not for long. Because Pema points something out, a convoy. And just like that, Nate realizes the truth. Lazarevich's men have taken Schaefer, and now they have the Furba, and he's in serious danger. Right on cue, Elena rejoins Nate, and without wasting time, the two jump into a truck and take off, leaving Tenzin and Pema behind. A quick farewell, and they're back in pursuit. They catch up to the convoy, and Nate immediately moves into action. He tells Elena to take the wheel as he prepares to clear the road. But before he can even begin, another truck slams into them from behind, forcing him to adapt on the fly. From there, the chase turns into chaos. Nate leaps from vehicle to vehicle, taking out soldiers while Elena keeps control of the truck. At one point, Nate takes over a mounted grenade launcher, blasting through empty vehicles and protecting Elena as more trucks try to force them off the road. But as the fight takes its toll, an RPG blast destroys Nate's weapon and critically damages the truck, leaving it seconds from exploding. With no other choice, Nate makes a desperate leap back to Elena's vehicle just in time. They close in on the lead car. This is their moment. Nate tells Elena to gun it, but before they can reach it, another RPG hits, sending them off the cliff. For a moment, it looks like it's over. The enemies assume the same and drives off, but somehow Nate and Elena survive. The two climb back up the road, battered but alive, and from there, they spot something in the distance, an old monastery. Nate takes a closer look with his binoculars and sees it, Schaefer being handed over to Lazarevich along with the fur buff. Now it's clear, they don't have much time left. The two head into the monastery, fighting through waves of soldiers as they push deeper into the complex. Eventually, they spot Lazarevich moving Schaefer into a tower further inside. They give chase, more enemies, more firefights, and just when it seems like they're about to be stopped, a group of snipers armed with rifles nearly cuts them off, but Nate manages to cut them down. As they try to cross the rope bridge leading to the tower, it collapses beneath them. Nate barely makes it across, separated from Elena, but still pushing forward. Inside, they catch another glimpse of Lazarevich, but Schaefer is gone, which means he's inside. After fighting through more enemies, Nate finally reaches the tower, but it's not over yet. He runs into an ambush, forced into one last push before finally breaking through, and at the end of it all, they find him, Schaefer.
Oh no. It's okay. We're here.
You were right.
About what?
Everything you touch does turn to shit.
All right, come on. We're gonna get you out of here.
No.
What do we do?
Did you find my expedition?
Yes, I found them.
You understand what I had to do?
Yes.
If they had found the stone, it would have changed the course of history.
Okay, easy, easy.
He took the dagger.
I know.
He's gone to the tower. You have to stop him.
Try not to move.
This monastery hides the secret path to Shambhala. You must get the dagger back, find the secret path, and destroy the stone before he gets his hands on it. Drake, you have to believe.
Schaefer.
Oh, Nate. We can't just leave him.
What choice do we have? You heard him.
Do you think all this really could be true?
I don't know. But he believed it. That's enough for me. Okay.
I think we should split up.
What?
No, listen. I'll go scope out the secret entrance thing, and you go to the tower and figure out how to get that dagger back.
Yeah, all right. Just keep your head down and stay in radio contact.
Yeah, okay.
Good luck.
While making his way towards the tower, Nate comes across something unexpected. Soldiers under attack by two of the Guardians. The creatures quickly overpower them before disappearing, just as fast as they arrived. Nate continues forward, catching glimpses of them in the shadows while nearby soldiers grow increasingly uneasy, clearly shaken by the constant attacks. As Nate reaches the tower, he witnesses Lazarevich in the middle of berating Flynn. Chloe stands nearby, watching quietly as Flynn tries to explain himself, insisting that the clue to Shambhala's entrance has to be somewhere inside the tower. But Lazarevich isn't interested in excuses. He's furious, especially knowing that Nate is closing in. To make his point clear, he slams the furba into the post right next to Flynn's head. After Lazarevich storms off, Chloe calls him out, clearly fed up. Flynn, trying to regain control of the situation, tells Chloe to search the room while he attempts to smooth things over. Once he leaves, Nate finally reveals himself. Chloe is caught off guard, warning him that they don't have much time before the others return. But Nate doesn't hesitate. He wants the dagger. Chloe pushes back, worried about how she's going to explain its disappearance to Lazarevich and Flynn, but Nate stays confident, telling her she'll figure it out. After a moment, she gives it to him. Before leaving, Chloe makes one thing clear. She wants Lazarevich taken down. Now alone, Nate begins solving the puzzle inside the tower, using his journal as a guide. Activating the mechanism reveals a pedestal with a 3-sided slot, perfect for the Furba. Once inserted, it unlocks a door high up the tower, giving Nate a clear view of a distant plaza filled with statues. This is it. Nate radios Elena, telling her he's found what could be the entrance and explains where to meet him. When the two reunite at the plaza, they find soldiers already searching the area, tearing apart one of the statues. Nate and Elena quickly take them out, clearing the space. From there, Nate uses the Furba once again, activating another mechanism, this time revealing a pedestal with 4 handles. As they rotate it, water begins to flow through the structure, flooding parts of the area and triggering a distant staircase to lower, revealing a hidden passage beneath the monastery. Without wasting time, Nate and Elena use a zip line to descend, fighting through another wave of enemies before finally making their way underground. Now deeper than ever, they begin exploring the hidden chamber beneath the monastery. The path forward isn't simple. They're forced to solve another puzzle involving rotating large Furba structures along the wall. As they align everything correctly, the central object resembling the Shintamani stone begins to rise. They're close, but just as they approach, voices echo from above. Lazarevich's men are getting closer. And just like that, the pressure is back on.
Son of a bitch.
Now what do?
Just stay behind me. Drop the gun. Do it! Stay back!
Shit. I should have killed you myself when I had the chance. Not a mistake I will make twice.
Back off!
Oh, pull the trigger, little one. See how long you live. Now, you will open the passage to Shambhala.
Go to hell.
Are you a student of history, Mr. Drake?
I've read a book or two.
Genghis Khan, Hitler, Stalin, Pol Pot, they were all great men. But do you know why they prevailed?
I'm sure you're gonna tell us.
Because they had the will to do what other men would not. Compassion is the enemy. Mercy defeats us. Now, unless you wish to test me still further, you will drop your weapons!
Do it.
Kick them away. So, you have tested my will. Now it is my turn to test yours.
Killing us won't get you anywhere.
Well, killing him, yes. But you?
You hurt her. You'll get nothing from me.
Well, then it appears we are at a stalemate. Unless I add another pawn to the board. Bring her in!
Shit.
Get your hands off me.
Now, one we will use as a lesson, and the other we will use as incentive to cooperate. You choose.
This is bullshit, Nate.
Yeah, don't play into his game.
You want my help, you let them go.
This is not a negotiation! Who would you sacrifice, and who would you save? Well, this one? You want to save this one? Or maybe this one?
You know what? Enough of this shit. All right, quit the theatrics. I'll do what you want. Calm down. You, asswipe. Give me your lighter.
is this?
How should I know?
Find a way across. And fix it! And take him with you. Maybe this time it will get done right. Oh, and Mr. Drake. Don't try anything clever.
After you.
Nate and Flynn are forced to work together to push forward through the cavern, though it's far from a smooth partnership. Flynn constantly shoves Nate around, making it clear there's no trust between them. Still, they manage to reach the far end, where they open a massive door leading into yet another chamber. Inside, Nate quickly recognizes the symbols etched into large rotating cylinders. Referring back to the notes he found from the Ice Temple, he aligns them correctly, activating another mechanism. This reveals a pedestal, which the two rotate, unlocking a hidden water reservoir and restoring the main bridge into position. But before anyone else can cross, they're attacked. 3 Shambhala Guardians emerge and immediately go on the offensive. Flynn reluctantly tosses Nate a weapon, and the two fight side by side. Even then, it's barely enough. Their creatures are relentless, and one of them eventually overpowers Nate, slamming him to the ground. And just when it looks like it's over, Lazarevich arrives. With a shotgun in hand, he puts all 3 Guardians down without hesitation. As the tension settles, he unmasks one of them, revealing something unexpected. Not a monster, but a man. Purple tinted skin, bulging veins, and a disturbing expression. To Lazarevich, they're nothing more than tools, designed to frighten intruders. Now that the path is open, Nate demands that Chloe and Elena be released. Lazarevich refuses. Flynn raises his gun towards Nate, ready to finish it, but Lazarevich stops him. He has a different plan. He wants Nate to see Shambhala, to witness what he is about to lose. So instead of killing him, he makes them watch. As the final gate is open, the group steps forward, and for the first time, we see it. Shambhala, a hidden city, untouched and breathtaking. And right away, Lazarevich takes control, ordering Nate, Elena, and Chloe to get on their knees. Flynn tries to remind him of their deal regarding Chloe, but Lazarevich doesn't care. Betrayal has consequences. Flynn pushes back, arguing that Lazarevich still needs him, but that only makes things worse. Frustrated, Lazarevich shoves Chloe aside and once again demands submission. Nate and Elena resist. And that's when everything falls apart. Out of nowhere, one of the Guardians attack, killing a soldier holding Nate, and just like that, more of them flood the area, turning everything into chaos. Lazarevich is forced to order his men to open fire as the Guardians tear through his forces. In the confusion, Chloe makes her move, elbowing Flynn, grabbing his gun, and freeing Nate and Elena. The 3 quickly regroup and make a run for it as the battle behind them spirals out of control. The Guardians are everywhere, Lazarevich's men are falling, and this is their only chance. As they escape, more soldiers catch up, still determined to stop them. One prepares to fire an RPG, but before he can, a Guardian leaps onto him, causing the shot to go off wildly. The explosion destabilizes the massive stone platform beneath them, and suddenly, everything starts collapsing. Nate, Elena, and Chloe barely manage to hold on as the structure slides downward, crumbling piece by piece while enemies continue attacking. Within moments, it crashes violently into a wall, throwing everyone to the ground. The dust settles. The danger isn't over though, but at least they're still alive. As they get back up, Nate urges them to keep moving, but this moment, it changes everything. Tensions rises, and for the first time, there's a divide within the group.
Looks like someone else made it in here before us.
Let's hope we have better luck making it out.
Yeah. These bodies look like they've been here 60, 70 years.
Hey. Didn't seem to do them much good, but here.
Thanks.
Well, Lazarevich and his crew will have headed into the city, so if we can just make it back to the entrance, it should be clear by now.
No, Chloe, we're going after the Chintamani stone.
What?
We have to stop Lazarevich.
And how exactly do you plan on doing that?
Get to the stone first before he does and destroy it.
Whoa, wait a minute. Don't tell me you're buying into all that supernatural nonsense.
I don't know what to believe anymore.
Okay, well, just in case you missed it, that man is certifiable. He thinks he's fulfilling some sort of prophecy that the stone will somehow make him invincible. Immortal.
We're standing in the middle of Shambhala, and you're questioning what's possible?
Yeah, you saw how many bullets they pumped into those things? Something strange is going on here.
All the more reason why we should get out while we still can.
I'm just trying to set things right.
And maybe save the world?
Oh, God. Listen, Sunshine. The world doesn't care. You stick your neck out, you are asking to lose your head.
You said yourself you want to take this guy down.
Yes, and I want to see him pay more than you do. But that's not how it will end. This is how it will end.
No. Not this time.
Come on. What do you say?
That you're crazy. But let's go save your bloody world.
The three venture deeper into the city, eventually arriving at an open field. From there, Nate is able to spot it. The temple, the one holding the Shintamani stone. Elena takes a moment to admire the view, clearly in awe of the beauty surrounding them. But Chloe notices something else entirely, how quiet it is. And that silence doesn't last long. Lazarevich soldiers are already there, searching the area. Without hesitation, Nate, Elena, and Chloe engage, clearing them out before pushing forward. As they continue towards the temple, the fight doesn't let up. More soldiers pour in, and a sudden rainstorm only adds to the chaos, turning the entire push into a battle through mud, stone, and gunfire. After fighting their way through and doing some more climbing, the three ascend a massive staircase leading directly into the temple, and now they're close. Inside, they enter a large chamber, only to find an all-out firefight already in progress. Lazarevich's shoulders are battling the Guardians, and the entire room is in chaos. Using a distraction, Nate and the others jump into the fight, clearing a path forward through both sides. Step by step, they push through. Up the stairs, closer and closer, until finally they reach it. The final chamber, the Shintamani stone. Chloe, ready to end it, grabs a blunt object and prepares to destroy it right then and there, ready to walk away and be done with everything. But Nate stops her, because something about it isn't right.
This isn't a sapphire, it's amber.
Amber?
Yeah, you know, fossilized resin. It's tree sap. Wait a minute.
What is it?
You gotta be shitting me.
Hello, Nate.
I hate it when he does this.
Tell me about it.
How could I have missed it?
Missed what?
There's not actually a stone. It's the resin, the sap from the tree of life.
Okay, hold on. Now you've lost me. This tree.
No. That tree.
There he is. Lazarevich.
He's headed to the tree. Oh my god. The black teeth.
What?
The black teeth on those guardian things and the bodies in Borneo. They ate the resin, and it changed them somehow.
And you think that's what Lazarevich is planning to do?
You really want to wait around and find out?
Bravo, Sherlock. Well done.
Flynn? Jesus.
Oh, Harry.
What's the matter, mate? Disappointed Lazara bitch beat you to it? I'm afraid you just missed him. Figured I'd stay behind and wait for you to come join my little party.
What are you talking about?
Maybe that's what old Zoran wanted all along, eh? He's cleverer than he looks.
Oh, we can still stop him.
Elena, don't.
Oh, we can help you.
Sorry, love. This isn't a movie. And you're not the plucky girl who reforms the villain and saves the day. It's just not done like that.
Flynn, listen to me.
Parting gift from Lazarevich. Pity he took the pin.
Get back!
Elena!
No.
Oh my god.
Helena! Okay, you're gonna be okay. Come on, we're gonna get you out of here. Come on.
Stop, Lazarevich, go!
Not a chance. Come on.
Shit.
It's all right, I've got her. You cover us.
This way.
After helping Elena back to her feet, Nate and Chloe began escorting her out of the temple. But of course, nothing comes easy. Lazarevich's soldiers are still everywhere, forcing the group into yet another firefight. Using the sniper, Nate holds his ground, picking off enemies one by one to create a safe path forward. Eventually, they make it through. With no immediate threats nearby, Nate and Chloe carefully sit Elena down. But it's clear, she's in bad shape. She's barely holding on. Knowing this, Nate makes a decision. He tells Chloe to take Elena and get out now. He's not leaving this unfinished. Chloe tries to stop him, desperate to pull him away from this, but Nate won't budge. He knows what's at stake. If Lazarevich gets control of the resin, if it transforms him and his army, it's over. Before he leaves, Nate gives Chloe one final warning: get as far away from the city as possible. And with that, he heads towards the Tree of Life. As Nate enters the core of the tree, he spots Lazarevich already there, accompanied by a handful of soldiers, and without hesitation, Lazarevich steps forward and drinks from the glowing blue sap beneath the tree. What happens next changes everything. The scars on his body begins to fade, right before Nate's eyes, and in that moment, Nate realizes just how dangerous this really is. But Lazarevich hears him, and the fight begins. Nate opens fire, landing multiple shots directly into Lazarevich's chest, but it doesn't matter. He doesn't go down. His men return fire, but Lazarevich stops them, wanting this fight for himself. Desperate, Nate shifts his strategy. He fires at the sap itself. The pool ignites, exploding in flames, taking out Lazarevich's men and knocking him down. But even then, he gets back up, stronger, and now he's hunting Nate. What follows is a brutal fight. Nate used the environment to his advantage, shooting pockets of resin around Lazarevich, causing explosions that weaken him while simultaneously doing damage to the tree itself. The battle pushes both of them to their limits, until finally, the regeneration stops working. Lazarevich falls, defeated. Nate stands over him, gun raised, and for a moment, everything pauses. But Lazarevich isn't done. Even on the ground, he tries to get into Nate's head, questioning how many men Nate has killed, telling him that they're no different, and that he's just ruthless and just as merciless. And then he tells Nate to pull the trigger. But Nate doesn't. He refuses. Lazarevich laughs, mocking him, saying he doesn't have the will to do what needs to be done. And maybe he's right, but Nate doesn't need to, because something else does. As Nate looks on, he tells Lazarevich one final thing. Maybe I don't, but they do. And just like that, he walks away, leaving Lazarevich behind as the Guardians descend on him and tear him apart.
You think I am a monster, but you're no different from me, Drake. How many men have you killed? How many just today? That's it, boy. No compassion, no mercy. Do it! No. You don't have the will.
Maybe not. But they do.
As Nate escapes the Tree of Life, he sprints across a long stone bridge that's slowly collapsing beneath him. Behind him, the entire city of Shambhala begins to fall apart. The damage to the tree is causing everything to crumble piece by piece. It's chaos, stones breaking, structures collapsing, the city literally tearing itself apart. But Nate keeps moving. Eventually, he reaches the end of the bridge and reunites with Chloe and Elena. For a brief moment, it feels like they finally made it, until one fallen guardian suddenly gets back up and attacks. It lunges at Chloe from behind, sending both of them sliding down the broken slope of the bridge. Without hesitation, Nate dives after them, sliding down just in time to intervene. He takes out the guardian and grabs Chloe, saving her right before she falls off the edge. Barely surviving, the two pull themselves together, and in that moment, Nate, half jokingly, half serious, tells her he just saved the world. The three regroup and return to Elena, carefully helping her as they make their way out of the collapsing city. Behind them, Shambhala disappears, lost once again. When they finally reach the monastery, they lay Elena down and Nate tries to wake her, reassuring her that everything's going to be okay. But for a moment, there's no response. And just like that, the story shifts. We're taken back to the Tibetan village. Nate stands with Tenzin at a small shrine, paying his respects. Chloe arrives shortly after, and the two share one last exchange. Nate tells her she should play the hero more often, but Chloe brushes it off. That's not who she is. She then asks him a simple question. Does he love Elena? Nate doesn't answer. Instead, he apologizes. But Chloe doesn't hold it against him. She already knows, and before leaving, she gives him one final piece of advice. Tell her. As she walks away, she leaves Nate with one last remark. He's gonna miss her. Not long after, Elena steps outside, supported by Sully. And of course, Sully being Sully, immediately points out the obvious. No treasure, no giant sapphire. After a bit of light banter, Sully asks where Chloe went and takes off, leaving Nate and Elena alone. And in this quiet moment, Elena tells Nate he did the right thing, that Schaefer would have approved. She asks him what's next, where do they go from here? And Nate doesn't have an answer. Not yet. And just like that, the story comes to a close, on a quiet note, a human note. After everything they've been through, they made it out.
Oh no. Elena. Oh God, no. Elena, hold on, all right? Just hold on. Come on, stay with us. You're gonna be okay, all right? You're gonna be fine. You're gonna be just fine. Elena, don't do this. Elena!
Trekla, Sheffer Kirala Gabuchigre.
Tujiche.
So, it's been a long, strange trip, hasn't it?
Yes, it has. You know, you should play the hero more often. Suits you.
Nah. Tell me something, Nate.
What?
Do you love her?
Chloe, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. Really, it's all right. Just do yourself a favor, cowboy. Tell her.
Chloe.
No. My turn to walk away. But admit it, you're gonna miss this ass.
Well, look who's not supposed to be out of bed.
Yeah, he's a lousy patient. Stubborn as all hell.
I'm not stubborn, I'm just restless.
So, no giant sapphire.
Once again, no.
And you're sure of that?
Yes.
Just a metaphor, I'm afraid.
Metaphor ain't gonna pay your bills, kid.
Well, something else will come along. Just gotta have faith.
Yeah. That and a quarter will get you 25 cents. Which way'd Chloe go? See you later.
Oh, no.
You're a dirty old man, Sullivan.
Uh-huh.
You did good, Nate. I think he'd approve.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm. So where do we go from here, huh?
I don't know. I haven't thought that far ahead.
Of course not. But then again, neither have I.
Good.
So, on a scale of 1 to 10, how scared were you that I was gonna die?
4.
4?
Yeah, why?
A 4.
Yeah.
You were at least an 8.
An 8?
You were a total 8.
An 8? Those Guardian things were an 8.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, those were terrifying.
What's a 10?
Clowns?
Clowns over my death?
I hate
Clowns?
clowns. I hate clowns.
Oh my word. You thought I was dead.
No.
No, you thought I was
No,
gone. Yes,
no.
you did.
No, I
saw
had you all
shed
along.
tears. You shed a bunch of them.
Tears? It was raining.
No, it was not.
You were unconscious and it was
It
raining.
was totally sunny out and you were bawling.
It wasn't sunny. You were unconscious.
Whatever. I kept your tears in a jar. I have proof.
I'll give you 5. How's that?
Before I start my analysis, I want to dive into a little history. Some of my viewers may or may not know the importance of Marco Polo, believing it's just a pool game some people play, or even know the importance of Shambhala. Me loving history and even having a channel based on video game history, I think it's appropriate to speak on where the inspiration for this game comes from, starting with Marco Polo. He was an explorer from the 13th century, best known for his travels across Asia and his detailed accounts of life in the East. His journey along the Silk Road eventually led him to the court of Kublai Khan, and his writings introduced Europe to parts of the world many had never even imagined. But what makes Marco Polo so important to the context of the game is the mystery surrounding his return. Historically, it's said that he left China with fleets of ships, yet only a fraction of them made it back. That gap in history, what really happened to the rest of his fleet, creates the perfect foundation for a story like this. Naughty Dog takes that real-world mystery and builds on it, turning it into a narrative where Polo's lost fleet becomes directly tied to the discovery of Shambhala and the Shintamani Stone. It's a smart blend of history and fiction, using real-world events to ground an otherwise mythical adventure.
When we set out to figure out the stories, we know that we always want to base it on a real-life historical mystery. Our catalyst for this story was a real-life story about Marco Polo, one of the first Westerners to travel to China as a trader, as a merchant. And the mystery surrounding his return home was what we used as our launching point.
Marco Polo leaves China with 600 passengers and 14 ships loaded down with treasure from Kublai Khan. And he lands in Persia a year and a half later with only 1 ship left and only 18 passengers.
So somewhere out there are 13 ships loaded with the Emperor's treasure waiting to be found.
Yeah, and that is what your client is after.
And because we base a lot of our historical backstory on facts, you feel a lot more grounded. The Shintamani Stone gave us a nice artifact, something meaty with a real historical context for Drake to pursue.
Now, when it comes to Shambhala, this is where things get a little more into mythology. Shambhala originates from Tibetan Buddhist tradition and is described as a hidden kingdom, an enlightened society that exists somewhere beyond the physical world, often associated with peace, wisdom, and spiritual purity. It's not just a place you stumble upon, it's something that's meant to be found only by those who are worthy. And that idea plays perfectly into Uncharted 2. Instead of treating Shambhala just as another lost city filled with treasure, the game reinterprets it as something much more dangerous. The Tree of Life and the Shintamani Stone twist that original concept, turning enlightenment into power and power into corruption. So while the real-world legend of Shambhala represents harmony and transcendence, the game flips the idea, showing what happens when people like Lazarevich try to exploit something sacred for their own gain.
And because we base a lot of our historical backstory on facts, you feel a lot more grounded. The Shintamani Stone gave us a nice artifact, something meaty with a real historical context for Drake to pursue. So here we have this artifact that somehow ties into Shangri-La, and that was another grounding for us.
This game's story, to many, is seen as the opus of the entire series, and honestly, I can see why. For starters, when it comes to hooking players, this game might do it better than any other in the franchise. Right from the very first chapter, we see Nate hanging off a derailed train, bleeding out, barely holding on. And then, cut to black, flashback. It's that classic storytelling technique of, you're probably wondering how I got here. And it works perfectly, because for the rest of the game, we're building towards that exact moment. Every mission, every decision, every betrayal, it's all leading back to that train. And that creates this different kind of tension. We're not just asking what happens next, we're asking, how did it get this bad? Compare that to the first game, which opens up with a pirate shootout. Fun, sure, but nowhere near gripping as a near death with no context. This opening grabs you immediately. The start was already hot as fish grease. And just like the first game reimagined El Dorado, Uncharted 2 continues that trend of taking real world myths and flipping them into something darker. Shambhala isn't just some peaceful hidden city, it becomes the center of something dangerous, something corrupted. But what really ties the story together is the title Among Thieves, because when you really think about it, it's a play on the phrase honor among thieves. And the reason honor is missing is simple. There is none. Even Nate, our main character, starts the story without it. He's already planning to portray Flynn from the jump.
Hello. Well, so much for foreplay.
You mind telling me what the hell is going on?
You mean with Flynn?
Yeah, you might have warned me.
And missed the look on your face? Anyway, you haven't exactly made yourself easy to find.
Talk about making yourself easy.
Oh, you're not jealous. Let's not forget who walked out on whom. After all, you don't get to be jealous.
Wait a minute, Chloe.
If it makes you feel any better, my relationship with Flynn is strictly professional.
Really?
Mostly professional.
Oh.
When I figured out he was actually on to something, I thought you'd want to be in on the action.
So what's the plan?
Just like we said. We pull the heist, we find the ships, and we make off with the treasure.
With Flynn?
Mm-hmm.
And then?
And then we split the take 3 ways, and you and I just disappear. Together, this time.
I see.
Until then, he can't know about us.
He's gonna be pissed.
He's gonna be fine. Trust me.
But Flynn, he just beats him to it.
Right behind you. What the hell are you doing?
Sorry, mate. This is where we part ways.
Wait, Flynn, we had a plan.
No, you had a plan. Turns out I've got one of my own.
Come on, throw me the rope. Don't be stupid.
Oh, yeah, right. You're the mastermind. Only you overlooked one little detail. Didn't you, partner?
So what are you gonna do, shoot me now?
No, I just need you out of the way for a little while.
Shit.
You think I didn't know about the ships from the beginning? Any schoolboy could have figured that out.
Flynn, listen.
Face it, genius. You've been played. Not yet. I want to give the guards a decent head start. Right, that's my cue.
And that dynamic is what makes this story so interesting. Two thieves, both with their own agendas, both planning to outplay the other, but one moves first. It sets the tone for the entire narrative. Trust doesn't exist here. Loyalty is temporary, and everyone is looking out for themselves. That idea reaches its peak with Lazarevich.
Man was caught stealing artifacts from site number 5.
You would betray me for this?
No, Zoran, I can't explain.
No need.
I am surrounded by traitors and fools.
This is a man who doesn't just lack honor, he rejects it entirely. He sees people as tools, as stepping stones to power. His worldview is built on domination, fear, and control. He admires historical dictators and believes that only the strongest deserve to lead. To him, weakness isn't just a flaw, it's something to be erased. And that mindset is exactly what drives him towards the Shintamani Stone. He doesn't want enlightenment, he wants power, absolute power. And for a moment, he gets it. But without honor, without restraint, that power becomes his downfall.
Garbage! You think I am a monster, but you're no different from me, Drake. How many men have you killed? How many just today? That's it, boy. No compassion, no mercy. Do it! No. You don't have the will.
Maybe not. But they do.
Now, throughout this story, we see the selfish side of Nate at times, and just like the first game, this is another journey of growth. At the end of Drake's fortune, you would think everything settles down, that Nate finally finds some kind of normal life with Elena, and for a moment, he does. The two even date for a short time, but that relationship doesn't last. By the time Uncharted 2 begins, they've already split ways, and there's tension there that never fully got resolved. So when Nate sees Elena again, it's more than just a reunion. It's a reminder of the man he was starting to become, and maybe that's because he failed to be that man. And throughout their interactions, you can still feel it. The chemistry, it's still there. The care, it's still there. And you can see it never really went away. It's just buried underneath everything that happened between them. And as the story unfolds, especially when Elena is put in danger, Nate's actions say more than his words ever could. He's always there, always trying to save her, always trying to be better, whether he realizes it or not. But then there's Chloe, and Chloe represents something completely different. Where Elena is real, Chloe is transactional. Their relationship isn't built on trust or long-term connection. It's built on opportunity, on survival, and most importantly, on mutual benefit.
That belongs to me.
Nate? Get out of here.
Give me the dagger.
They'll be here any
Chloe,
minute.
don't make me take it from you.
How am I supposed to explain where it's gone?
You'll think of something. You always do.
Just do one thing for me. Take that son of a bitch down.
From the very beginning, their dynamic is tied to the mission, the plan, the score. Even when they share moments of intimacy, there's always something underneath it, an angle, a motive, a play, and Chloe makes that clear. She's not pretending to be something she's not. She's honest about who she is, a survivor first, someone who plays both sides if it means she comes out on top. And Nate gets caught between those worlds. With Elena, he's grounded. There's accountability. There's something real to lose. With Chloe, he's comfortable. It's familiar. It's the life he always lived. Fast, dangerous, and without commitment. But as the story progresses, that contrast becomes clearer, especially when things start falling apart. Chloe is the one telling Nate to walk away, to think about himself, to survive. Elena, on the other hand, represents something bigger, doing the right thing, even when it costs you everything. And it's not until everything is on the line, when Elena is hurt, when the mission starts being about treasure and starts being about people, Nate finally understands the difference. Chloe was the life he could live. Elena was the life he should live. And that realization is what completes his arc.
So, it's been a long, strange trip, hasn't it?
Yes, it has. You know, you should play the hero more often. Suits you.
Nah. Tell me something, Nate.
What?
Do you love her?
Chloe, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. Really, it's all right. Just do yourself a favor, cowboy. Tell her.
Chloe.
No. My turn to walk away. But admit it, you're gonna miss this ass.
Well, look who's not supposed to be out of bed.
Yeah, he's a lousy patient. Stubborn as all hell.
I'm not stubborn, I'm just restless.
So, no giant sapphire.
Once again, no.
And you're sure of that?
Yes.
Just a metaphor, I'm afraid.
Metaphor ain't gonna pay your bills, kid.
Well, something else will come along. Just gotta have faith.
Yeah. That and a quarter will get you 25 cents. Which way'd Chloe go? See you later.
Oh, no.
You're a dirty old man, Sullivan.
Uh-huh.
You did good, Nate. I think he'd approve.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm. So where do we go from here, huh?
I don't know. I haven't thought that far ahead.
Of course not. But then again, neither have I.
Good.
So, on a scale of 1 to 10, how scared were you that I was gonna die?
4.
4?
Yeah, why?
A 4.
Yeah.
You were at least an 8.
An 8?
You were a total 8.
An 8? Those Guardian things were an 8.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, those were terrifying.
What's a 10?
Clowns?
Clowns over my death?
I hate
Clowns?
clowns. I hate clowns.
Oh my word. You thought I was dead.
No.
No, you thought I was
No,
gone. Yes,
no.
you did.
No, I
saw
had you all
shed
along.
tears. You shed a bunch of them.
Tears? It was raining.
No, it was not.
You were unconscious and it was
It
raining.
was totally sunny out and you were bawling.
It wasn't sunny. You were unconscious.
Whatever. I kept your tears in a jar. I have proof.
I'll give you 5. How's that?
When we look at Nate's character in Uncharted 2, this is where we really start to see his growth take shape. In the first game, Nate was already a likable character, but he was still driven by the thrill, the treasure, the adventure. Even when things got dangerous, there was always that sense that he was in for the ride. But in this game, that mindset gets challenged. Right from the beginning, Nate is operating in that same space, working with Flynn, planning to double-cross him, chasing another legend without really thinking about the consequences. It's the same Nate we've seen before, comfortable in chaos, living in the moment. But the difference this time is what's at stake. As the story progresses, the tone shifts. This isn't just about treasure anymore. People are starting to get hurt. Jeff dies. Elena gets injured. Entire villages are destroyed. And for the first time, Nate is forced to confront the reality of his actions, not just what he's chasing, but what it really cost.
Compassion is the enemy. Mercy defeats us. Now, unless you wish to test me still further, you will drop your weapons!
Do it.
Kick them away. So, you have tested my will. Now it is my turn to test yours.
Killing us won't get you anywhere.
Well, killing him, yes. But you?
You hurt her. You get nothing from me.
Well, then it appears we are at a stalemate. Unless I add another pawn to the board. Bring her in!
Shit.
Get your hands off me.
Now, one we will use as a lesson, and the other we will use as incentive to cooperate. You choose.
This is bullshit, Nate.
Yeah, don't play into his game.
You want my help, you let them go.
This is not a negotiation! Who would you sacrifice, and who would you save? Or this one? You want to save this one? Or maybe this one?
You know what? Enough of this shit. All right, quit the theatrics. I'll do what you want.
And you see it in his decisions. There's a moment where Chloe tells him to walk away, to leave, to survive, to not risk everything. And that's the old Nate's way out. That's the easy choice. But he doesn't take it. Instead, he stays. Not for the treasure, not for the thrill, but because it's the right thing to do.
I'm okay. Let me see.
Oh.
All right, you're gonna be fine. All right? Think you can stand? I think so. All right, come on, I'll help you. No, leave that. It's busted anyway. Here we go. Up.
Nate.
He's fine. Aren't you, Chief? All right, get the door open.
He's never gonna make it. We have to leave him.
What? No!
Get the door open, Chloe!
Gonna get us all killed!
That's the turning point. By the time we reach the end of the game, Nate isn't fighting for discovery. He's fighting to stop Lazarevich, to protect people, to prevent something bigger than himself from happening. And even in the final moment, when he has Lazarevich at gunpoint, he doesn't pull the trigger because he's a changed man. The man who once lived for the adventure now understands the weight of it. And that's what makes this story hit harder, because Nate doesn't just survive this journey. He grows from it. He learns that not every treasure is worth chasing, and not every fight is about winning. And sometimes it's about doing what's right. And when you put all of this together, the storytelling, the characters, the themes, the scale, this is why Uncharted 2 stands out. It's not just a bigger sequel, it's a smarter one. It takes everything the first game introduced and elevates it, not just through spectacle, but through meaning. This is where Uncharted stops being a fun adventure and becomes something more grounded, something with weight, a story about greed, about power, about trust, and ultimately about growth. Because at the center of it all, Nate is a man caught between two lives, forced to confront who he is and who he wants to be. And by the end of it, he doesn't just walk away from Shambhala, he walks away changed. And that's what makes this game special. Not just the set pieces, not just the action, but the journey. A journey that reminds us that sometimes the greatest treasure isn't what you find, it's what you chose to leave behind.
A lot of people pay lip service to trying to tell a good story in a video game, but they don't really take the steps necessary to deliver on that promise. And our team really has embraced that challenge. And I think we're providing a level of character-driven plot that most games just aren't capable of doing. And we combine that with a really rich gameplay experience that weaves that narrative into the game as you're playing it. And it's just that whole package that we're bringing is what I'm most proud of.
But what is it they say? Fortune favors the bold? Right. Lucky me.
Now let's talk about the gameplay and how this game actually plays. We already know the story is a hit, but the gameplay is where everything comes full circle. Just like the first game, Among Thieves is played from a third-person perspective with the player controlling Nathan Drake. And right away, everything feels more refined. Drake is still as agile as ever, jumping, climbing, and scaling ledges to navigate the environment, but this time it all feels smoother and responsive. When it comes to combat, Drake can carry two weapons at a time just like the first game, one single-handed weapon and one two-handed weapon, along with a limited number of grenades. Weapons can be picked up from enemies, replacing what you currently have, and ammo is constantly being cycled through during fights. The cover system also returns, allowing players to hide behind walls or corners, using either aim shots or blowing fire to take down enemies. But one key improvement here is movement. You can now shoot while moving, making combat feel more fluid instead of static. Stealth also plays a much bigger role this time around. If enemies don't detect you, you can take them out quietly, whether it's sneaking up behind them for a one-hit takedown or pulling them over ledges. It's not a full stealth game by any means, but it adds another layer to how you approach encounters, instead of just running in guns blazing every time. Of course, puzzles make their return as well. Throughout the game, you'll run into sections that require you to use Drake's journal to solve them, which adds to that treasure hunting feel. And if you ever get stuck, the hint system can nudge you in the right direction, keeping the pacing from slowing down too much. Now, When it comes to collectibles, this game features 100 treasures along with one secret relic. And what's interesting about that secret relic is it's actually a callback to Jak and Daxter, a precursor orb, showing that Naughty Dog hasn't forgotten his roots. Collecting treasures and completing certain in-game challenges rewards you with medals, which can be used as currency to unlock bonus content like concept art, behind-the-scenes videos, and even cheats like infinite ammo. So overall, the core gameplay remains similar to the first game, but everything here is improved. Smoother movement, better combat flow, and more gameplay options. Now, when it comes to the pacing, this game starts off on a slower tip in the early chapters. There's more emphasis on stealth, exploration, and easing you into the mechanics, with light action sprinkled in between. But once you hit around the midway point, especially around chapter 10, that's when everything starts picking up. And by the final stretch, the last 6 chapters is just straight intensity. No slowdown, no breaks, just constant action. The game features around 26 chapters in total, and that pacing shift is very intentional. It starts you off grounded, but by the end it feels like you've played through a full-on action movie. Now, this game would later be ported to the PS4, but this next section is specifically for the PS3 version, because it was the first Uncharted game to introduce multiplayer. Now, it wasn't local, it was fully online. And while the official servers were shut down by Naughty Dog in 2019, from what I gathered, some players are still keeping it alive today through private servers. But at the time, this was a big deal. Uncharted 2 featured both competitive and cooperative multiplayer modes, adding whole new layers to the experience. Starting with co-op, up to 3 players could team up, taking control of Nathan Drake and 2 other hero characters. These missions combine gunfights, platforming, and teamwork-based objectives. You could even revive teammates if they were critically injured or grabbed by enemies, which added a level of coordination that wasn't present in the single-player experience. Then you have competitive multiplayer, which allowed up to 10 players. Split up into 2 teams of 5, there were several modes to choose from, including deathmatch, plunder, elimination, turf war, king of the hill, and chain reaction. Deathmatch was your standard team-based mode, heroes versus villains, where you could play as characters like Nate, Elena, Sully, Chloe, and even Tenzin. As you rank up, you unlock new skins and abilities, giving players something to grind for. Plunder acted as the game's version of Capture the Flag, where teams fought to grab a treasure from the center of the map and return to their base. But the twist, carrying the treasure slowed you down, forcing players to rely on teamwork, whether that meant passing it to a teammate or throwing it to keep it out of enemy hands. Elimination raised the stakes even higher. No respawns, just 2 teams trying to wipe each other out round by round. And then you have modes like Chain Reaction and King of the Hill, which focused on controlling specific zones and objectives, requiring more strategy instead of just pure combat. On the co-op side, modes like Gold Rush, Survival, and Siege added even more variety. Gold Rush had players working together to retrieve treasure while fighting off waves of AI enemies. Survival pushed players through 10 increasingly difficult waves, testing endurance and teamwork. And Siege had players defending zones against constant enemy pressure. So overall, the multiplayer wasn't just a side feature, it was a full-on experience. And for their first attempt, Naughty Dog really delivered. Now, the graphics. Simply put, stunning. At the time, these were some of the best graphics seen on a console, and honestly, even today they still hold up. From the character models to the facial animations to the environments, everything feels alive. And what makes it even more impressive is the seamless experience. No loading screens between deaths or transitions. You're constantly immersed. The environments are where this game really shines. Every location feels distinct and memorable. You go from jungles to caves to snowy mountains to war-torn cities, and none of it feels repetitive. Each area has its own identity, its own atmosphere, and its own moments that make you stop and just take it all in. There were honestly times where I caught myself dying because I was too busy looking at the scenery. The gameplay pulls from a lot of familiar mechanics, platforming, puzzle solving, and cover-based shooting, but it blends them together in a way that feels natural. At its core, this is a cover shooter and it feels great. The gunplay is smooth, responsive, and satisfying, but what really stands out is how everything complements it. The puzzles and platforming never feel like filler, they actually enhance the experience. Compared to the first game, Platforming is far more dynamic. Environments aren't just static. You're climbing structures that break, collapse, and shift in real time. A ledge might give out, a pole might snap, and suddenly you're thrown into a completely different situation. The game constantly keeps you on your toes. I've been gaming for years, and very few games have made my jaw drop the way this one does. The best part, you're in control the entire time. This isn't just something you watch, it's something you can play through. It creates a level of immersion that cutscenes alone can't match. The sound design in this game is top tier. The voice acting is phenomenal, some of the best I've heard. Every line feels natural, every interaction feels real, and the chemistry between characters is actually believable. It doesn't feel like actors reading lines, it feels like people having real conversations. The music also does an incredible job of setting the tone, whether it's tension, mystery, or full-on action. And while the gun sounds could be a bit louder, they still carry enough weight to feel impactful. One of the standout features is the DTS audio support. If you're playing with a proper setup, you'll hear everything from subtle environment sounds to birds in the jungle to the crunch of snow underneath feet. It adds another layer of immersion that really pulls you into the world. From a gameplay standpoint, the story is just as strong as everything else. The writing is sharp, the pacing is tight, and the characters are incredibly engaging. You grow attached to them as the journey goes on, which makes it hit even harder. And I gotta give credit when credit is due. The enemies in this game, especially later on, can be genuinely intimidating. The tone is darker than the first game, touching on more mature themes, but it never loses balance of humor, drama, and adventure. It's the kind of story that keeps you playing, not just because of gameplay, but because you genuinely want to see what happens next. So when you take everything into account, the graphics, the gameplay, the sound design, and how it all works together, this is where Uncharted finds its identity. It's no longer just experimenting. It's refined, it's confident, and it knows exactly what it wants to be. This isn't just a game you play, it's an experience you go through. And that's what makes the gameplay in Uncharted 2 so special, because it doesn't just improve the first game, it elevates it in every single way. Now, understand this game dropped on the PS3 on October 13, 2009 for North American markets, October 15, 2009 for Australian markets, and October 16, 2009 for European markets as well. When it comes to the original PS3 version of Uncharted 2, this is where everything started, and for its time, it was incredible. The game ran at 720p with a target of 30 frames per second, and even with those limitations, it still managed to push the PS3 above its limits. The visuals were already ahead of its time with detailed environments, strong lighting, and a cinematic presentation that made it stand out from everything else on the market. This version also included full online multiplayer, which was a huge part of the experience back then, giving players both competitive and co-op modes to dive into. Now, while the controls can feel a bit heavier due to the lower frame rate and a slight input delay, this is still the pure original experience, the version that defined what Uncharted 2 was when it released. Moving on to the PlayStation 4, Uncharted 2 was remastered as part of the Nathan Drake collection, and this is where the game truly gets polished. Running at a native 1080p and targeting 60 frames per second, the difference is immediately noticeable. Everything feels smoother, from camera movement to aiming, and the overall gameplay just feels more responsive. Visually, textures are sharper, lighting is cleaner, and effects like water, fire, and shadows are all improved while still staying true to the original art style. Load times are also faster, making the experience more seamless overall. However, one key thing to note is that the PS4 version does not include multiplayer. It's strictly the single-player campaign. So while you lose that online component, what you gain is a definitive way to experience the story with smoother gameplay and enhanced visuals. That brings the game closer to modern standards. Now, when it comes to reception, this is where Uncharted 2 separates itself, not just from the first game, but from most games in general. This game received universal acclaim across the entire board. And I'm not just talking, yeah, this is a good game. I'm talking about people calling this one of the greatest games ever made. It currently holds a 96 on Metacritic, which already tells you everything you need to know. Critics praised this game, from the storytelling to the gameplay to the presentation, and many outlets were giving this game perfect scores at the time. It wasn't just a success, it was a statement. What stood out the most to critics was how cinematic the experience felt. Reviewers were saying this game blurred the line between movies and video games, with action sequences that felt like they were directed by Hollywood. But unlike a movie, you were in control. That's what made it special. The pacing, the voice acting, the set pieces, it all came together to create something that felt way ahead of its time. Now, of course, no game is perfect. Some critics did point out minor issues like the occasional clunky controls or movements where platformers didn't always land the way they should. Others mentioned that some combat encounters could feel repetitive, but even with those small flaws, it didn't take away from the overall experience. If anything, those critiques felt like nitpicks compared to everything the game was doing right. And then we get to the awards. This game didn't just win Game of the Year, it dominated. Uncharted 2 took home over 300 awards, including 200 plus Game of the Year awards, making it one of the most awarded games of its time.
The Game of the Year award is the award of the night. Only one can rise above the others. For the last month, we've let you, the fans, decide which game had you by the balls all year long. And because of this game, you didn't eat, you didn't sleep, you didn't go to class, so you got held back a year, but you didn't care, which we should discuss later. This game was better than real life. The nominees for Game of the Year are
Game of the Year. Assassin's Creed 2.
Leonardo, how can I be of service? Thank you, Leonardo.
Batman Arkham Asylum.
You have one chance to surrender. It's over, Joker.
It hasn't even begun.
Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Left 4 Dead 2. Uncharted 2 Among Thieves.
Come on, I'm through playing the hero.
Sure hope you know what you're doing.
I don't have the faintest idea.
the 2009 Spike Video Game Award for Game of the Year goes to Uncharted 2 Among Thieves.
Accepting for Uncharted 2 Among Thieves are Amy Hennig and Bruce Straley. Uncharted 2 Among Thieves also wins Best PS3 Game and Best Graphics.
This is incredible. Thank you so much to everyone for all of your support. I can't tell you how much it means to all of us. This has been a labor of love for all of us at Naughty Dog from the beginning, and all of us at Sony, and all of us in our wonderful cast. I have to say thank you to Nolan. Thank you to the disembodied voice of Claudia Black, who's been hosting us all evening. And thank you especially to all of our remarkable teammates back at Naughty Dog, without whom none of this would be possible. And all I can tell you is it's so cool to know that you've enjoyed playing our little game as much as we enjoyed making it. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Naughty Dog. You're the bomb. The fans, we like playing the game with you guys every night.
We're glad it's an honor to be received like it is. We worked long and hard, blood, sweat, and tears went into this. We couldn't ask for a higher praise. Thanks, Sony. Thanks, Naughty Dog. Thanks, everybody. This is amazing. Thanks.
It cleaned up at major events like the Spike Video Game Awards and earned recognition from industry organizations for things like storytelling, animation, game direction, and sound design. This wasn't just critics showing love, it was the entire industry acknowledging what Naughty Dog created. And the success, it didn't stop there. Commercially, this game was also a hit. It sold millions of copies worldwide, quickly becoming one of the PlayStation 3's defining titles. It even helped to set the standard for what cinematic story-driven games could be moving forward. You could look at so many games today and see the influence Uncharted 2 had on them. So when you look at the reception as a whole, this wasn't just a well-received sequel. It was a game that raised the bar, a game that showed what storytelling and gaming could truly look like, and a game that helped define an entire generation. Now, being honest, compared to the first game, this was a massive improvement. It's like the first game was a pizza, and Uncharted 2 came through with pepperoni on top. Same foundation, but everything just hits better. The gameplay is smoother, way less clunky than the original, and the first game movement felt a bit stiff and enemies felt faster than you. Here, enemies are stronger, but it feels balanced. It feels fair. I can honestly say that this game wasn't nearly as frustrating as the first one. Instead of feeling like a grind, it felt immersive, like you really struck gold with this experience. And that's really the best way to describe it. Everything is just better. The gameplay is better, the atmosphere is better, the pacing is better. It really speaks to Naughty Dog's track record. When they make a sequel, they level up. They refine what worked and fix what didn't. And while there's one game fans debate about, we'll soon get to that, this right here shows Naughty Dog is at their best. Now, I'll say this. If you're going for all the treasures, yeah, you're going to need a guide. Because when I tell you those treasures don't find you, you find those treasures. But at the same time, that just adds to the replay value. It gives you a reason to come back, explore more, and really take everything in. And I'll say this too. Some of those little methods from the first game, yeah, they still work here. If you know, you know. At the end of the day, this game feels like playing through an epic movie, one that you can actually control. And it's clear, Naughty Dog was on the right track here, delivering not just a great sequel, but a complete experience, an epic story, an epic adventure, and depending on who you ask, a near perfect game. If you made it to the end of this video, first I want to say thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button as it really helps with the YouTube algorithm. And if you're watching on your phone, make sure to hype the video up as well. Next week we'll be back with Uncharted 3, so if you want to be there when the video drops, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you stay up to date on all my latest uploads. And if you're feeling generous, you can always buy me a cup of coffee. Link is in the description. With that said, this is the Retro Phantom, signing out.